Is Pharaoh still existing? As he before, resembling an Israelite, not being treated right, enslaved day and night. Oh, we just can't go on this way. We just can't go on this way. Please deliver us today. We just can't go on this way. We like the Israelites still in pain. We just can't go on this way. So send us another Moses again. We just can't go on this way. Oh, 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 oh.
And of course, let me say a special hello to all the WZYE 95.9 FM listeners. Yes, people. We are back with you. It's In the Village with the DAG Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, we come to you every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 9 p.m. And let me bring in the Storm boy. The Storm is back in full force.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Nice to be back with you guys. I didn't fire the work, and the boss man didn't fire me. Everybody like bacchanal and confusion.
Yeah, everybody want to know. Everybody know where the Storm gone, boy. The Storm like she storm all the studio.
No, the Storm was, just a little bit under the weather. I had to rest my eyes a little, so I was a little tired. So I'm back. Nothing was wrong with the mouth. I'm back.
Well, listen, it's always a welcome that you welcome back. Let me bring in Tommy here. Hey, Tommy, welcome, my friend. How are you? Tommy.
Good evening to my family. Storm, glad you're back, and I'm glad the eye is in full force, so you can mash up the place.
Oh, that's the love
Can you
child.
hear me?
Yeah, love child.
You're loud and clear.
Angela?
Boss man, I have a
Are you hearing
complaint.
me?
Yeah, we hearing you.
I have a complaint. There's somebody in his vicinity harassing me. Okay, so I'm bringing it to you.
Yeah.
You see, boss man, you got to fix it. All right. Good.
Okay, all right. We go fix that. We go take care of that. Don't worry. We go fix that early
I
o'clock.
complained to the boss man. A dustbin terrier bothered me.
I don't blame you for complaining, because them dustbin terrier hearing you on the radio and they're getting excited. I don't know what is going on. They're only howling. Look, the dustbin terrier reached. He reached. I thought he. I don't know what it is.
What
the storm? I don't know. I don't know what kind of magnet the storm have, but something going on.
I don't know that. And all the women want to know where I was and how I'm feeling, and Oma and Rose are here. Oh Jesus! Anselm, could you, boss, can you handle that, please? Okay. Well.
Yeah, I know. Like Tommy is like two Tommys now, but instead
So
of
I don't know. I don't know what. I don't think it's. I don't think it's stormy. I think it's stormy and stormy weather.
Oh,
I think
it's like the outside child and the inside child.
I don't know.
There's all kind of thing going on.
He howling like he malnourished. I don't know.
Could I have a number? I'll see if I can have the number.
Oh Lord, he's in my ears now. Can I have her number? Oh my goodness.
Can we go ahead with this session here, please?
Please, Anselm, let's move ahead.
Yeah. Oh, that's it.
You see why he gets sanctioned by Facebook? You have all them dustbin terriers in it.
Well, folks, I have to say, right, Albert Montano, a special good evening to you as well. Albert Montano is locked on and listening. Well, folks, I have to say, all you saw the Prime Minister press conference, and I mean, the latest news is that the borders will be reopening on July the 17th, right? TNT borders to reopen on. Let me try something here. Let me see if I put this over here.
But for who? But for who?
No, I put it over here. Huh?
But for who?
Well, I guess we can say it's for us, right?
Oh, you get that from the conference?
Well, for exile and stranded citizens, I would think. You don't think so?
I ain't going down there. You know why? Because I done see problems already.
What problems do you see?
The way them just behave, right? When you haven't been vaccinated, I don't know. They give you this card. They give you a card, it's signed, it's stamped, whatever. They're going to scrutinize this card. And they're going to find something, because it's us, they're going to find some reason to invalidate that card and to force us to go into quarantine. That is why I ain't going.
Invalidate the PCR card?
The vaccination card.
That you are fully vaccinated?
Yeah. With a PCR test. Because it's us and the stance that we took against them for the exemption policy. I just have this feeling that they're going to take that stance.
No, I don't think I don't think that.
But you the ones. Go ahead.
If you come with a legal vaccination card indicating that you're vaccinated, I don't know how they will check whether you are vaccinated or not. I don't know, because if you, but that should be expected. They don't know if somebody could buy a vaccination card in the United States of America then come to Trinidad.
All right, now you see what I'm talking. And he said in his press conference that if it is that you try to present any fraudulent, that these penalties are going to be stiff. So if I go with the card that people give me, I took a picture of it in my phone too, and all on the same date, the picture, the date that they gave me on the phone, the picture, the date in the phone, it will match. Everything will match. And I got a PCR test. I will also take an antibody test from my doctor's office. Right? And you try to go down there and they want to get stupid at the airport and try to say that you try to present something fraudulent. They, and because of the stance that me, you, and Gary and Tommy took, and they realize it's us, they may want to get stupid with us. And I don't trust it. I don't trust them.
Well, I have a few lawyers.
I don't trust them.
I have a few lawyers that I can engage.
Yeah.
And I have a few other contacts in the United States that I can engage in their face if they want to bat. You know. But other than that, I'm really not rushing down there right now anyway.
Me neither.
Because I got more fight with them.
I want to see that.
Out of office, his administration long gone before I even get there.
I want to see that. I want to put my money in Tobago. I really go in Tobago. Want to go to Tobago, but I'll go Barbados first.
I have lots of reasons to go Barbados. Shara is there. I want to go see Shara.
Let me say a special hello to 𝗪𝗫𝗪𝗏, as well as Steve Trini Lopez, who is watching from Orlando, Florida. And Albert Montano says that you all were not kissing up, so you're all in trouble.
Yep. As you see?
All in big trouble, boy.
Yep. You answer them. Yeah, that the Wall Street gang. And you see, you call me 3 name out, you know. I can't hide, and they know my face. Gary could hide and get away. They know my face. Every time they see me, that Bajan.
Dr. Rowley know who I look like. You know who I look like.
They really know. You understand?
Most of the hooligans don't know what I look like, but Dr. Rowley and the official government members, they know what I look like.
I'm not going to Trinidad because they ain't putting me in no forced quarantine, which I find is a more oppression on people who are already stranded. Why are you forcing people to go in quarantine?
But
if they have I'm paying for it.
Audacity.
Yeah.
Say that.
I find that to be more
Yeah, we gotta wait till
oppression.
the dust settle.
So let me listen to what the Prime Minister said today. Let's listen to him.
Go right ahead.
Let's
Roll.
listen to him.
COVID. And I did mention a while ago, if you come in from outside vaccinated, as I described, that you can go home. What I mean is you will not have to go into quarantine. So you come in fully vaccinated as a citizen or resident of Trinidad and Tobago, you will not be required to quarantine if you come in fully vaccinated. If you're not vaccinated, then you have some issues. And I spoke with the authorities about the penalties for coming in unvaccinated and attempting to beat the system of not going into state supervised quarantine. I'm going to talk to the Attorney General to ensure that those penalties are in fact a deterrent and that the law enforcement will keep a close eye on that, because we know that there are people who are going to want to come in having not complied with the vaccination requirements, but between the immigration officer and the quarantine site may believe that they are already in Trinidad and Tobago, and also persons who may want to come out of that quarantine. One person caused Sydney to be shut down and New Zealand to be responding. It's one person. So any person who comes into this country and decide to play fast and loose with our quarantine system and our entry requirements will face the full brunt of the law. And we will make some adjustments to ensure that the penalty is quite a deterrent.
So let me ask this question, right? Let me ask this question.
Let me see if me and you thinking along the same line. Go ahead.
No, I think we might be thinking a little different on this one, because let me ask this question, right? So the government is going to open the borders on July 17th, right? Is that correct? We have the most, how I could put that, boy? The most deadly strain, which is the Delta strain in the air, right? The Delta strain, right? The government said in the past they were using the science. That's why they closed the borders, correct? It was a science, so we lock out exile and stranded citizens. What is the, listen, I am in full agreement for the exile and stranded citizens to be able to go back into Trinidad and Tobago. But here is where the government was misleading the people. And you see, we have to really and truly understand and listen. The government is going to open the borders now with a Delta strain. Remember back then we was talking about all the different strains, and they go change and they go say is the P1, is the P2, the P3, the P4, right? Right? Now the government opening the borders and we have a Delta strain coming. Right? So the government have been misleading the people for months now into making them believe that we lock the borders because of COVID-19 and all these people bringing in COVID-19 into the country. Right? So I am, maybe I am missing something, Diana, Tommy, and Gary. I am missing something. So you guys can help me.
Well, you were thinking the same thing I was thinking, because
really,
yeah, I heard it, but I said, but wait a minute now, he's going to open the borders now. There's the most deadly strain, right? And I have a concern. He's going to send those children out there to write an exam, right? Okay, he may have them safely socially distanced, but still they're going to be in a confined area, unvaccinated. And he said an unvaccinated citizen is a threat. But you're sending the children out there to write exam in a confined area, unvaccinated. I don't understand the logic in that. And you want to send them back home now to their families. Help me, somebody, to understand this.
Takesha says, yes, Ansem. Good night, Takesha, as well. Steve Trini Lopez says, you can buy a vaccine, 190 and 200, plus have to stay in a hospital, for a day, plus hospital bills, maybe $300 to $500. You see, Diana, I want people to understand, and this is part of critical thinking. Now, you can say that, well, and some, the man opening the borders. Listen, I fully agree with the borders being open.
Okay.
Full 100. But what I'm trying to say to the people, if you've been thinking, if you've been critically thinking, a critical thinker, right, and listening to what you have been told for months after months after months after months, the government of Trinidad and Tobago told the people, the local citizens, that we want to save lives. We are interested in saving lives. How could you want to save lives now with the deadly Delta variant? How could you want to save lives? Right? And now you're saying you could come back home if you ain't vaccinated, you gotta go on quarantine, and if you try to beat the system, you go charge you and all this kind of thing. As I said, it's like, they're making macaroni and they're throwing it up on the wall and see what will stick. It just doesn't make sense.
Yep.
And you remember that guy says back then when Simpson in his trial, if the gloves don't fit, you have to acquit. Remember that, right? The stuff just not fitting. It's not fitting right. It didn't fit in. But I am happy. I am happy. And I told people that this day will come, July 17th. Let's hope, nothing changes between now and then, because, a few months ago, we were also told that we weren't closing down 𝗪𝗏𝗃, right?
Oh dear.
I don't want people to forget that. Okay, we were told that we're not closing down 𝗪𝗏𝗃. So these things are very important. But Diana, not only that, Diana, right? I want to know, and Diana, Tommy, and Gary, you guys can help me, because I's not the brightest bulb in the box, right? Honduras getting 1.5 million vaccines from the US, right? 1.5 million. What to Trinidad and Tobago?
I don't know.
According to my understanding, is that Trinidad and Tobago is an investor into COVAX, and that's probably one of the reasons why they're not getting any donation, because they are vested.
No, Gary, no. We have investors in COVAX who's getting vaccine from the United States of America. No.
Honduras has a population of 9.7 million people.
Yeah, but maybe Honduras has a good lobbyist. How about that?
That could be too.
That
could be that too.
Maybe Trinidad paying a price for hugging up to Maduro.
Oh, Gary, buddy. Gary,
you are only paying a price for buffing America. Right?
No.
Okay, you're paying a price for buffing America and hugging up China and Maduro. Okay.
Go, Gary, buddy. What?
But anyway, I have a big problem with him telling our people.
No, Diana, you were good.
That was suffering outside here, that you had to enter quarantine at your own expense when you basically bankrupt and depending on others to sustain you out here. Right? If you don't get the vaccine, so what are you trying to tell Trini out there now? Go get the vaccine in America because you're out there. Right? And that's conditions for coming home. Now we know they're giving out vaccines here left, right, and center in the US. Right? If you any corner of the street you want to walk down pharmacy, have everything set up for vaccine there. Pfizer vaccine, Moderna vaccine, you name it. Right?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying to you is Dr. Raleigh is still dumping his responsibility of his citizens on other countries. This idea, he should not close the state-sponsored quarantine and force people to pay to go into hotels. This is something I totally disagree with him. I think it's totally inconsiderate to do something like that. That you have no regards for your people. You continue showing that you have no regards for your people and what you have put them through.
Let me say welcome to 𝗪𝗪𝗃𝗧𝗧. Chanel Fort or Forte Chanel. Where are you joining us from, Chanel? We have a new person joining us tonight, Chanel Forte. Chanel, where are you joining us from? And Takesha says the big question is who really bringing COVID in TNT. I thought it was stranded nationals. Now the deadly virus out, TNT borders opening. Who these people really trying to fool?
Exactly.
I mean, you know, yeah, I tell you. Oh, Chanel is from Tobago. Chanel, what part of Tobago? All you know, anytime I hear somebody from Tobago, I go into Mirante. Chanel, my father is from 𝗪𝗶𝗃𝗃𝗧𝗦, Tobago. My father name is Shaki, and he's the owner of Meridon Club in 𝗪𝗶𝗃𝗃𝗧𝗦, Tobago. So Chanel, welcome. What part of Tobago are you joining us from? Yeah, so this thing here, WZYE. Chanel, I don't know. I ain't sure where WZYE is, you know. How far WZYE from Dana? Where WZYE is from 𝗪𝗏𝗁?
You asking me? You asking me
on
a religion?
it's on the other side, and Slim up from
Scarborough?
no, up from
Side, Buko side.
yeah,
I
it's
don't know.
when you go up this, what do you call it?
Cuban Road?
Palatuve.
No.
What's Ndu go tell you? What? Chanel go
Yeah,
tell
he
you.
got
Chanel
that.
go tell you. Chanel, where it
He got,
is? Chanel, I don't know what WZYE is. Yeah, so listen. The government of Trinidad and Tobago paid a lobbyist, or Albert Montano says by Plymouth.
up from Plymouth. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Boy,
near the
that
stadium.
Plymouth is boy.
Near
Let me tell you. All I know.
where the three cannons are, like where they guarded Tobago from an invasion years ago.
Oh,
There's three
listen.
cannons
All
there.
I know is I go in Scarborough. I'm gonna take a kind tongue and I tell you fella go in 𝗪𝗏𝗁𝗏. I jump in the car. The man came in 𝗪𝗏𝗁𝗏. People that say 𝗪𝗏𝗁𝗏 is the country, and I go to 𝗪𝗏𝗁𝗏 in the country. Lana, welcome as well. You know, yeah, and that's what I know. I mean, know nothing else. You know. Yeah. So we see this thing going on, and we are asking you questions about. I mean, listen, it's a good thing.
I have
Yeah.
a question.
Sure.
Why is the Prime Minister not wearing a mask? Joe Biden asked us to wear masks. I remember, right? He said, wear your mask for 100 days, do the thing, and we followed his thing, and he's asking citizens to wear masks, social distance, and whatnot. If you, I mean, management and leading, people follow, you lead by example, blah, 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 right? Why are you in those media briefings? What what message are you sending, especially to little children too, them SCA children and them teenager children? They're watching you as the Prime Minister, and there are people who can form their own opinion. Okay, they can form their own opinion. They can say, well, the Prime Minister wearing no mask, me wearing none. All right or wrong?
Well, Diana, he answered that question in the last press conference. He said,
well, okay, I didn't hear it. Enlighten me.
He was 6 feet away from the closest person to him, and the media was also 6 feet away from him. So he's social distancing. He's following the protocols.
So then if you're out in public and you're 6 feet away, then you should not be charging the poor, disenfranchised people if they're 6 feet away from somebody for not wearing a mask then. Then the poor black man could say, well, I was 6 feet away. I wasn't nowhere, not wrong, nobody. A policeman shouldn't be pulling nobody over, charging them for not wearing a mask if you were 6 feet away. Tell me if I'm wrong here.
Well, The Prime Minister has special privileges, isn't that true?
Oh no, don't give me that nonsense. Come on.
Come
Come off of that. Come off of that. Come off of that. We're good for the goose, good for the gander too. Come off of that.
on, man. Come on out there.
Come on, answer me here. We here for the underprivileged or not? Because if he, you poor black man, if he away, he ain't wrong nobody, and the police see him outside, they want to pull over and zest him and rough him up and tell him, wear a mask, wear a mask. And the Prime Minister away none. He's 6 feet away. So why you want to zest the poor black person? Why you want to zest Cyril child for not wearing a mask? And he ain't 6 feet wrong nobody. Come on, you know there's instances where they zest people for not wearing. Come on, Ansler. You know you're no Trinity. You're not bringing a scenario to that occur. Yeah, they gonna say so. You know they gonna say that.
Well, Diana, I just trying to see if I could find something to say. I just trying to see if I could find something.
I'm just being the devil's advocate here.
But I'm trying to dig deep down into my bag of tricks to see if I could find something.
You know they go the Prime Minister. I was 6 foot away. There was nobody. Why they want to give me $1,000 fine?
All right, yeah.
He could go in a court of law and argue that.
Chanel says it's Wilson Road going to Plymouth side. All right. And Albert Montano says after Mount Irving Bay. Lana says his message is do as I say, not as I do. If you were 6 feet away from everyone else should not wear a mask because they're 6 feet away. True?
Is it?
True. Don't say special privilege. You raised my blood pressure one time.
Huh?
Lana said, don't say special privileges. You raised my blood pressure one time.
You see? All right, Lana, calm down. Eat some bygone. Calm down. Drink. Yeah,
I saw the police sending people home who were lined up for hampers there because they was misbehaving. I didn't see no misbehavior in that video. They wasn't following. I mean, some of them might have been a little close. All you have to go there and to say, well, listen, you guys need to follow the protocol of staying 6 feet apart and try to control the crowd a little bit. But the people was not unruly there. It was a large crowd, and I mean, I think it would have been the decent thing to allow the people to collect the hamper and go instead of telling them you have to come back next week now. So what are you supposed to do in the meantime? You have no food in your house.
You're turning away a woman with a baby in her arms. Yeah, Gary. The woman go start. What you know what the baby
is it this one here? Is it this one? Let me see if it's this one. I don't know if it's this one.
I'm 64 years old and I am working away. I don't have nothing.
We will do it again next week with a better system in place. But we had to cut it off due to the safety guidelines necessary.
So, Morris, can you tell me who we are, sir?
Ma'am, the lady in the umbrella is the last place. Sorry.
Just so, could you tell me are you part of the management team for the hamper distribution?
Sorry, if I'm what?
Are you part of the management team for the hamper distribution?
We're part of the group that's executed the hamper distribution today.
Oh, so you all cancel it now then?
Sorry, what's that?
You all call it off for the day?
Well, no, we are continuing doing the hamper distribution next week. Yeah. We will come up with a better system whereby there's safety guidelines and the safety protocols are in place so that everyone can receive the hamper in a safe manner. Right now, our police have informed us that it is not social distancing at all and people are not adhering to the safety guidelines that's necessary.
Okay, can I get your name, sir?
I am Rory Moses, a consultant at South Park Plaza.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moses.
I know, but ma'am, you all are not adhering to social distancing rules. But we will do it again.
No.
Why?
I don't see nothing so
for 4
bad.
people.
I don't see nothing so bad with the way all the people was there. I don't see nothing so bad with that. I mean, they should have just kind of controlled them a little bit and say there was no unruly. if the police had spoken themselves, needed to get some more space within each other and come and collect your hampers and go home instead of stopping the hamper distribution.
Yep.
But Gary, this morning, right? Attorney Ramdeen and them had a giveaway. All right.
I caught a glimpse of it, but I didn't really watch too much of it. Anyway,
look at you. Only watch this.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You won't believe what. No, we have Attorney Ramdeen. It's one of his initiatives. Attorney Ramdeen, what's happening? Tell us exactly, because I'm a male. Because I know yesterday we had the chaos of people coming in, but it's so coordinated. So what do you? Now I realize everybody just picking up stuff and walking out. Tell me what exactly is happening there. This is your initiative.
What we decided to do, Mr. Allen, is that we wanted to have an initiative whereby people can come and not collect a hamper, but can come and experience having a fresh market, like what ordinary people will do on a weekend, have their market, and have established a mini grocery for people to come and get their grocery items, all free of charge. As you can see, we start all COVID protocols in place. We have from potatoes, cassava, sweet potato, plantain, pumpkin, onion, cooking fish. And people will come and make their fresh market.
So what you're saying, listen to me. So, no,
this is given on a different level, Mr.
This is given on a different level because I will tell you something that just moving so wait. So they can come and just pick up anything, just come up anything. One bag. So I pick up a bag. So I pick up a bag. How many potatoes can I pick up? As much as I want. Right, so I pick up a bag. This is how I want now. So I pick up cassava. I come on this side. Pick potato, but the bag full already, Mr. Ramdeen.
So that's why we have more bags, Mr. Allen.
Yeah.
Plantain.
Plantain.
Right, you're taking your plantain.
I take her down. Listen, this is free. Yeah? Well coordinated. That's okay.
You're taking your pumpkin.
I take my pumpkin.
Come down.
Onion.
The onion.
Yeah.
Right.
This is free.
The cooking fish.
And you can pick up as much as you want. Yeah? Right.
I got $20 up.
You call it a, Mr. Ramdeen, what you call it? A food bank or something?
This is a fresh market. It's a different experience in giving.
No, this is totally different.
This is not handing out.
So all the people going there, right? Everything is free. Yeah? Good thing. Tobago, we get free at the look at this is amazing.
The cucumber. I gotta get another bag.
I want to get another bag. Can I get another bag?
Everybody's
hey, boy, give me a bag. It's amazing because you were telling me now, it's have seen.
Oh, let's see that.
Commendable. Yes.
Coordination.
You see how you want to see people that do things, boy? All right.
Oh, let's see it. People, anyway, at the end of the day,
that was nice to see what he did there. That was very nice.
Listen, at the end of the day, and them fellas give out about 500 tickets ahead of time, so they know how much people come in, and they have enough food stuff for everybody to come and get. And you ain't coming and take one bag. If you want to take 2 bags of potato, you take 2 bags of potato, whatever you want. All right, and this is what we expect from the government.
Yep.
This is what we expect from the government. We don't expect that when you have to go and take a vaccine, you have to go and stand up in the rain to take a vaccine. Right? We don't expect, look at the last video, people lining up and they send them home. I mean, it just seems that
But it hurt me,
everything.
man. It hurt me to see them people had to be turned away, and that was the. This is the police force that we paying with taxpayers' money. That's the same people helping pay their salary, and we using the police force without discretion, man. Without discretion. Where's the discretion there?
Yep.
You know, Chanel says, I was seeing a video on Facebook where a police officer is on quarantine and was shooting iguana. I'm still waiting to hear what will come of it. You know, Chanel, we actually I had that video, you know. And, you know, as things go along, I kind of purge videos here. I wonder if I could find that video, but all ever see that video?
You're shooting iguanas?
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
Oh, here it is. Actually, here it is right here.
So the law doesn't apply to everybody because Dirty Reds, better known as Officer Stewart, outside shooting iguana under curfew. So the law doesn't abide to everybody. Okay then. Alright. Yep. And this boy who does line with Ravi, the Rasta one, who always used to be with Ravi. And you see police stop and ask, talking to him like normal.
We just have so much thing to cover. I had that day just sitting there, and no matter at time but I mean Chanel just brought it to our attention, right? Yeah, different strokes for different folks in Truth Boy. You know, Takisha asked a question, right? This is a good question, Takisha. How the Prime Minister alone got COVID and no one around them has catch the virus? That's a good question.
Maybe he was social distancing.
Wait, before you catch it or after you catch it?
Before and after.
Yeah, Lana said, all this line on crowd not necessary. Supermarket making hampers for sale. Send the people to the supermarket and let them give their ID and get their hampers. All right. I don't know, but I don't know. But anyway, we have What's New coming on at 8 p.m. Good night, Rose. Lana says all our tax money she spent on helping citizens right now, not on construction and the beautification of an avenue.
I agree with that. And you see where that money is going? In the 1% area, not where the 99 poor percent is. See, not in the Laventille C lots be some area that they're beautifying the 𝗪𝗏𝘗𝗃 Avenue, and they want to force Cyril children and myself too, Cyril children. When I come to Trinidad and Tobago, where else am I gonna go if I want entertainment in Trinidad to 𝗪𝗏𝘗𝗃 Avenue to pay $40 for a beer? That make any kind of sense? But
Diana, you raise a very good point there, you know.
Yep.
Broken the Pina. Good night, Diana and Ansam and everyone. Broken the Pina. Where are you from? Another new person joined us.
Yeah, he's from Trinidad. That's another poet.
Another poet?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a poet first name.
Yeah.
Broken. And it's Broken.
His name is 𝗪𝗏𝗃𝗃, but his poet name is Bro 𝗪𝗏𝗃𝗃.
Oh, Broken.
Yeah, brother 𝗪𝗏𝗃𝗃.
All right, brother Ken, welcome, my friend.
I think he's from Diego Martin or Belmont.
Wait now, them is two big different places, you know. Diego Martin or Belmont. What is that? What is that
Hey,
one?
watch yourself now. Remember, I a Bajan, you know. I from St. Augustine.
But Diana, let me get back to your point you just raised there.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you fixing up 𝗪𝗶𝗃𝗃 Avenue?
Yep.
For the people who don't look like you, I, Gary, and Tommy.
Yep.
But the poor disadvantaged vendors who up and by the savannah, fix up that for them.
Yep.
That is the one you should start with. Right? You start with 𝗪𝗶𝗃𝗃 Avenue. Wait, leave them. Them can handle their stories. And that is part of the problem.
Yep.
That is part of the problem. Right?
But
We helping people.
A lot of farmers who are struggling to sell their produce since with all this shutdown and thing. The government could have had the decency to go and buy out them produce where those people couldn't sell their goods and do just like how Ramdeen and they did. You know?
But Gary, I think they did something with the what is that organization again, boy?
Netco?
They have done
Netco?
no, not Netco. It's not the Southwest Regional, no, that's not the Health Authority, but it's something have to do with agriculture. And they were giving them, they were actually doing hampers. By the way, where does hamper thing come from in Trinidad and Tobago, boy?
I don't know.
No, seriously, I want people in the chat who living in Trinidad, where does hamper thing come from? Because we only know what hampers in America around Christmas time.
Yep.
Right? Where does hamper thing come from in Trinidad and Tobago? And who actually started this?
I have no clue. Santa Claus.
You talking about Santa?
So the other thing is why they can't distribute money into people's account and they buy their own thing. Why you have problem like that?
Yeah, Gary, we getting feedback from you. Yeah. What is hamper thing come from in Trinidad and Tobago? I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I'm just asking a question.
You know, they like to follow everything America do, so perhaps it's a spill off from there. Who knows?
Okay. So Lana says hampers came out when URP started in Trinidad and Tobago. Oh yeah, was that? I thought URP used to be 10 days. What it was something relief program. That's what they call URP.
Oh, okay.
Something relief program.
Unemployment.
There we go. Unemployment relief program. Axel, thank you guys. Yeah, because somebody getting feedback.
You.
No, it's Tommy. Yeah. So the unemployment relief program, they used to call it Jude back in the days and 10 days back in the days. You know, I mean, you guys wouldn't believe this, but when I was going to junior sec, I used to work at 10 days. I used to go to work from like about 9 to 10 o'clock. Then I go down by the standpipe and I take a bath. I come back home and I change, and then I go walk up to Barataria Junior Sec.
Oh boy.
You know? So
wow.
Were you eligible to work?
Nah. Well, I'm sure, you know. I'm sure.
Okay.
Child labor.
Child labor may be illegal.
Child labor.
Nah,
Anyways,
what child labor? 𝗪𝗏𝗃 club child living. Nah, what child labor? 𝗪𝗏𝗃 club child living. Tommy, somebody have either a computer on. Some people either have a computer on or a phone on in the background while they putting on, while they coming on. Diana, I lived in 𝗪𝗏𝗃 Laventil. And in 𝗪𝗏𝗃, right, what used to happen is that the kids in 𝗪𝗏𝗃, most of us used to get a little 10 days. You understand? A little 10 days to subsidize so we could buy a little butter bullet. You understand? All you know butter, you could buy a little butter sneakers, butter bullet.
Well, at least you get butter, I get Doric.
Doric was more expensive than Doric was the upper class, the higher class.
No, Doric was the Chinese sneaker.
But Doric was middle class, you tell no.
No. Butter was higher than Doric.
Bata was for the poor of the poorest in Trinidad.
No. Bata
Okay.
was a notch above Doric.
Anybody
Bata was a notch above
Nah,
Doric.
bottom was the bottom of the barrel.
Bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, but Anselm, what happened to me here? It have a graduation party going on by my neighbor next door, and the music is up real loud. I don't know, like it's just leaking into this house.
No, we're not hearing the music. We just getting our feedback.
Are you getting it now?
Whenever I speak, I'm hearing feedback.
All right.
You need to put on headsets.
I got a headset on, and I'm muting my mic when I'm not talking.
Yeah, but when you speak, just like this. When I speak, I am hearing myself repeating what I said.
Well, I'm not hearing you repeating, and I'm not hearing myself repeating.
Only you're repeating, Angela.
No,
Okay,
I
from Diana, answer all of us.
Okay. So
answer.
Just no. When I mute Tommy, it goes away. I've just muted Tommy. There's no feedback now.
You hearing me now?
I'm hearing you. There's no feedback. I'm hearing you guys. There's no feedback.
Oh, okay. It's Tommy.
Okay, so I've muted. When I mute Tommy, right, there's no feedback.
The outside child again causing trouble. You had to give up for adoption, you know.
Okay. Yeah, I work 10 days, but butter. Let me tell you, when you wearing butter and you pour, they drop the OR, you know. You just pour.
Well, maybe butter was that brown sneaker, right? That kind of brown sneaker.
No, but it used to have different levels of butter. It used to have butter with no pegs in the bottom. Butter bullet, they used to call it. Right? When you get a butter bullet with pegs in the bottom, that's the cheap one.
Man, I used to wear like a Chinese looking sneaker.
Yeah, I have a Lana says Tommy's the love child. And Chanel says that is for votes. What was for 10 days was for votes. Yeah. 10 days was for votes. Absolutely. You know, but then let me go back quickly to that. In our community of 𝗪𝗏𝗃, we had a football side, and the guy who used to run the league was like, he was in charge of 10 days in the Laventille area. And all of us kids used to get at least 1 10 days or 2 10 days for the year. And then when time comes, we used to get back pay. You understand? You get your 2 10 days and then you go and you get your back pay. You see? So that was in 𝗪𝗏𝗃. I don't know any other place, but we only used to work about 2 hours a day. You know, because we had to go to school. You know, if you was on morning shift, you couldn't get nothing. So I made sure I was on evening shift so I could get my little 10 days. You know, so I could when Christmas come, at least I could buy grapes for the first time or apples for the first time, you know? Because in our family, the only time I saw grapes or apples was at Christmas time. Right, Diana, I know you saw grapes.
Same here.
No. I saw grapes and with the vendors that were selling them. And
when you have grapes in your household, though? When did you have grapes and apples in your household?
Never. Not really, no. Only when I went by my godmother's house. But I saw with the grapes and the apples had a certain smell, and you knew it was Christmas. And you smelled the grapes and the apples. No, we didn't not like that. We didn't have it like that. But the smell used to make me, it was Christmas time and stuff like that. But I didn't.
Yeah, Takesha said it wasn't named URP at that time. It was later. Yeah. Look, hey, listen, Prasad. You see, Prasad Ramnath said Bata was the bottom boy. I'm 60 and Prasad, I'm around your age.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Bata was the bottom. I went the other day, boy. I went to France the other day.
I wore both of them. Let's leave it like that. Bata and Doric.
Well, you went from Bata to Doric.
Oh God! And then above Doric, it was pro kids.
No, I only used to I only used to watch Pro Kids.
I was to watch Pro Kids with the different color sponges underneath the heel. Yeah, you know, the hip children used to have those, you know, the 70s. And I used to long for a pair of those. I was like, oh. Yeah.
But wait now. Before, we only have about 9 minutes before the PDP leader Watson Duke joined us. Diana, Tommy, Gary, I somebody sent me this post here. With the
Scientists were ecstatic when the results were announced. Phase 3 clinical trials show their vaccine, 𝗪𝗶𝘶𝗵, is among the world's most effective. And on the streets of Havana, people say they're proud of their country's achievement.
Vaccines normally take 10 years to develop, so making one in a year and a half is a record. Cuba is a medical powerhouse, and coming up with this vaccine is really special. And the fact that it's free is even better.
I'm very proud because it's one of Cuban scientists' biggest achievements. It's taken a huge effort.
Only 10 countries in the world have their own vaccine, and at this rate, Cuba will become the first country in the developing world to vaccinate its entire population with its own vaccine.
The project's leader admits the results surprised him.
I didn't expect the result to be as high as 92% efficacy. We're extraordinarily happy. Our vaccine is now the 4th most effective in the world.
The result is a rare piece of good news for an island that's seen its economy plummet during the pandemic, and a relief for the Communist Party, which says US sanctions have slowed down the vaccine's development.
They've done everything possible so not a drop of fuel gets here. They've done everything possible so that medicines don't get here. But in 13 months, you've come up with results.
Cuba has refused to import foreign coronavirus vaccines, betting instead on 5 homegrown versions. The government is close to broke, but has poured every last cent into vaccine development and production. Cuba has taken a gamble that seems to have paid off. Case numbers here in the capital, Havana, have halved since the Ministry of Health began an emergency mass vaccination campaign with 𝗪𝗶𝘶𝗵 last month. The high efficacy could also be a boon to exports. The government hopes that sales to Latin American, African and Asian countries will help lift the country out of its deepest economic crisis for 30 years. Ed Augustine, Al Jazeera, Havana.
Well, they think Trinidad serious about getting vaccine. They could go right to Cuba, but they're on this who bandwagon, who approve and who approved and who approve, and people dead in every day in the country. You know? I mean, get out that who approved bandwagon. You know,
but they done jump on China, Sinopharm, you know, they're kissing China behind, so.
But Diana, the vaccination rate in Trinidad for 2 doses is 4%, and for 1 dose is 12%. And we're in June already. You know, when we go reach a new place, boy, when we go reach a new place in anyway. But let me quickly do our next story here. This is good news to report that Derek Chauvin received 22.5 years for murder of George Floyd. You know, so only I think you have an next case going on. I think you have an but you guys know if 6 months in jail, 1 year?
He ought to be underneath the jail with about 10 hungry angry pythons. That's where he need to be. And let us strangle the life out of him, like how he took George Floyd's life. Yeah, that's what I say.
From what I understand, he's gonna get 15 years. It will amount to 15 normal years.
15 normal years?
With good behavior.
Okay.
And that's what 22 years in jail time redounds to.
I could care less about him.
Well, all right. So we just got a few minutes. Let's quickly go to the Prime Minister talking today about the borders being open. Let's take a listen. For all those who don't know.
The airport or ports of entry, we stay with that under the following guidelines. And as per we expect to recognize two categories of people, in fact 3 categories of people. Category 1 are citizens of Trinidad and Tobago vaccinated. Category 2, citizens of Trinidad and Tobago unvaccinated. And category 3, other persons unvaccinated. The exact date in July, we expect, it's Monday 17th. The Saturday 17th of July, that's when we expect to go back to scheduled services, open our borders to those categories of people. Non-nationals of Trinidad and Tobago who are unvaccinated, and let me repeat that, non-nationals of Trinidad and Tobago who are not vaccinated against COVID-19 will not at this time be allowed to enter Trinidad and Tobago. Nationals of Trinidad and Tobago who are vaccinated, fully vaccinated, and a fully vaccinated individual is defined as a person who has received the required number of doses of a WHO-approved vaccine and have been 2 weeks since the final dose was applied. Such a person who is a citizen or resident in Trinidad and Tobago, legal resident I mean, would be allowed to enter having shown proof of a negative PCR test less than 72 hours or less old, and such a person would be allowed to travel into Trinidad and Tobago without hindrance and would be allowed to go home. I repeat that. Vaccinated citizen of Trinidad and Tobago with a negative PCR 72 hours or less would be allowed to come in and go home as a person who is fully vaccinated. A citizen of Trinidad and Tobago who is not vaccinated and wishes to enter would enter and must go into state supervised quarantine for 14 days, and you must, in order to enter unvaccinated, you must be able to show proof of a PCR test no older than 72 hours. And the state supervised quarantine would be at venues, certain approved hotels authorized by the county medical officer, and that would be at your own expense. Children who are not vaccinated at this time worldwide, we don't have vaccines that are applied to children, arriving with parents will be allowed to go home with their parents if the parents are vaccinated. So parents bringing their unvaccinated children will be allowed to take them home. And you will get a bit more information from Caribbean Airlines and from the relevant ministry about, we are aiming to use a digitalized system where persons wishing to travel could provide this information, their personal information, as requested with an app that will be available. And that information will be like your address, your health status, and so on, as you book your flight with the airline that you're using. This system is already in place at a couple of our Caribbean territories. We'll be using the same system here, and therefore it should run relatively smoothly. That is being put in place now to be able in 2 weeks' time to operationalize it here. So what I've given you here is a heads up as to who can enter, under what conditions you will enter. And of course, if you come in unvaccinated with your negative PCR test and you are allowed to come past the immigration officer as you should be, then you would be taken to a place of quarantine by the authorities under the authority of the county medical officer of health there. So this is a major development at a time when we also are keeping our eyes on this whole question of the Delta virus, which is beginning to appear in the United States, has not been identified in our country just yet. It's very popular, 85% in the UK. It appears to be very popular in Africa, and we still have the P1 virus out of South America into the Caribbean from there.
We're going to go for a quick station identification, and we'll be right back. It's In the Village with the DAG Triplets and WZYE 95.9 FM. Of course, we come to you every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 9 p.m. Let's go for a station identification, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio. WZYE 95.9 FM.
And of course, we are back with you. It's In the Village with the DAG Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. We come to you every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 9 p.m. That's Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 9 p.m. We are just waiting for, I think Mr. Watson-Duke is already in the background waiting for us. Let's bring Mr. Watson-Duke in. Let me see if we have any questions here before we bring him in. Mark Daniel joined us. Prasad said, Mr. Ansem, don't know why people blaming the PM Rowley. They vote him, their PM was never leadership material. Lana said, he said 2 weeks, vaccinated. What about the people who vaccinated months ago? What about people who vaccinated months ago? I guess there we go get an answer. Mark Daniel, welcome. Rose says, when will these ministers feel what poor people? Do they feel pain in their hearts for anyone? So much of mental stress, no work, no money this month. I got a light bill for $1,000.
Oh my God.
Antonio, welcome, my friend. Antonio Clement. Let's bring in Mr. Watson-Duke. Mr. Watson-Duke, let me say a special hello to you, sir.
Hey, good morning, my brother, all the way from Roxborough. Night, I should say.
Wait, you're saying I from Roxborough? You're saying I from Roxborough? You from Roxborough?
Well, I think last time I had a discussion with me from Roxborough, so.
Well, yeah. I just want to be clear. I want to be sure you have a good memory, man.
It's good.
So is a Roxborough thing? Nobody in red.
Go ahead.
It's a Roxborough thing. Nobody ain't know the fella from Jersey and the girl from Connecticut. Well, all right. Okay.
Greetings. You know, I'm streaming live on Facebook page.
That's it. I'm only busting it.
Well, Mr. Duke, we also have with us Diana. We have with us Waveney Diana Benskin, better known as the Storm. We also have with us Gary Mahabe, who's known as the Phantom. And we have with us a guy they call him Tommy. They call him the Outside Child.
All right. Quite you have tonight, man.
Yeah. So we have the DAG Triplets and the Outside Child. Somebody already saying to you, Mr. Duke. Lana says, bless good night, Mr. Duke.
Nice. Well, I'm all here. And I'm ready for the questions.
You have a lot of fans. Yeah, you ready for the questions? You know, when they come into the village, you don't set up no softball question in the village, you know.
Man, fling them. Fling them.
You fling them. So,
fling them.
So, all right, so listen to this. Here what we start with, right? We're going to start with, I want you to listen to Mr. Kelvin Jack. And I want to get, your opinion and your views on this. Take a listen to Mr. Jack. Not Mr. Jeff, Miss Jack. Mr. Isaac Kelvin Jack, I talking about the goalkeeper, former goalkeeper for Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, Joel Jack, Assemblyman Joel Jack. Yeah, take a listen.
First and foremost, and as Secretary of Finance and Deputy Chief Secretary, let me say that I am excited with the current document that is before us. I think it's a document that really improves and enhances and gives greater autonomy to the people of Tobago. We have an increased provision whereby we have moved from the band 4.03 to 6.9 to a floor or minimum of 6.8% of the national budget.
What is your opinion, Mr. Duke?
Mr. Jack is tired. He sounds rather stupid. And I'll be frank with you, we have currently in the Tobago House of Assembly Act, which was established in 1996, we have a budgetary allocation that is 4.3 to 6.9 of the Trinidad national budget that should be allocated to Tobago. In the current in what is proposed by Trinidad for Tobago in 2021, they are giving us an allocation of 6.8. Now, if I did math in school, 6.9 is greater than 6.8. So Mr. Jack is sounding stupid, he's sounding dunce, he's insulting the intelligence of Tobago. For example, if we had a budget of 4.3 to 6.9, that's the allocation of the national budget Tobago is supposed to receive. Why doesn't this loving, this embracing, this all-inclusive PNM who wants the best for Tobago, why didn't they just give us 6.9? Why they have to wait until something is about to be debated to stick into it a lower figure than that which was already allocated? They have stuck into the new document 6.8, which is less than what we can now have, 6.9. So they're limiting us. And he's saying he's satisfied with that. No wonder this is his last term as an assemblyman, because he'll be voted out. The man is just unintelligent.
Now, Mr. Duke,
forgive me for speaking off, but that's how I speak, straight.
No, listen, you're in the village, man. We don't want you to come here and pontificate,
me and come no polish talk.
No, we don't want you to come and pontificate. We want you to give it to us straight. Now, Mr. Duke, some people say there are 60,000 people in Tobago. The population of Tobago is about 60,000 people, and the population of Trinidad and Tobago is 1.390 million people, right? So 1.3 million people. And kind of if you divide 60 by 1.3 million, you get about 4%. So Tobago is actually 4% of the population of Trinidad and Tobago. And by receiving 4% of the budget, it's an equal allocation, but increasing that to 6.8 is an even better allocation for Tobago. What do you say about that?
Well, the question doesn't arise. As I said to you, Tobago now has an allocation of 4.3 to 6.9. That is in law. We can receive that. A maximum of 6.9 and a minimum of 4.3. How could you remove that and say to us, you will give us 6.8? 6.8 in my understanding of maths, and I am a mathematical genius, is less than 6.9. 6.8 is not greater than 6.9. So I cannot be satisfied with that. Remove it completely. I'm not even getting into the percentage. The fact of the matter is 6.8 that you're promising us is less than the 6.9 we now have. I'm not going to discuss that. We need to have more than that. But more than all of that, Tobago must decide for itself. Not Trinidad decide what they're going to give us. Tobago must decide what it wants from Trinidad. And I'm going to tell you why if I'm permitted to.
Sure. Tell us.
Tobago was once a British colony, meaning that the affairs of Tobago was administered by the British through their residents that occupied the island of Tobago between 1769 to 1876. So it was a British colony, British dependent. In 1889, Tobago was given to Trinidad as a ward, as a village, as a paraplegic, someone that Trinidad must take care of. Now, this is a colony that was under the British, being given to Trinidad, which was also run by the British. In international law during the 60s, etc., 1960s, there was a law for non-governing territories that was made so that those who administer the affairs of those non-self-governing territories should have built them up to a point where those non-self-governing territories should be mature, where they can take over their own affairs. I hope I'm not getting too deep. Am I getting too deep?
No, keep going, man. Keep going.
Good. Now, I'll repeat again for emphasis. In the 1960s, laws were being created internationally so that the non-self-governing territories, the colonies, should have been built up by those who administer its affairs, which is the colonizers. They should have built us up, developed us up, so we can get self-government. That happened in Trinidad, it happened in Barbados, it happened throughout the world, Ghana and a number of other places, but not Ghana, a number of African countries happening, even Ghana too, where they would develop to a point where they could manage their own affairs. In Tobago, however, we were given to Trinidad, and before we could have even spoken, Trinidad had dismantled any form of governance model in Tobago. So Trinidad spoke for us. In 1956, 54, somewhere around there, when they had this little elections, and Eric Williams became the premier, they spoke for us. We had no real government in Tobago. We had one representative, a token representative, A.P.T. James, during those years. And so Tobago have never spoken. They knew that what we wanted was self-government because we were never a colony of Trinidad. We were never twins. Tobago was a separate place, had its own governor, its own constitution, its own chief justice, its own laws. Tobago was a place where persons were taxed. Tobago was a place with its own treasury, its own businessmen. And so now, what's happening is that Trinidad is operating as if we were always together, and they conquered us, and now they are giving us freedom because it is theirs to give. Self-determination does not belong to governments, it does not belong to states, it belongs to the people, based on international law, based on the United Nations law. And the people of Tobago is asking for self-determination, which is the right that they will freely determine their political status, right? And when I say political status, I mean they should decide for themselves whether they want to be integrated with Trinidad and how that integration should actually take place. Whether that's one. Two, whether they want to be associated with Trinidad at the Eastern Caribbean states where they share a dollar, or whether we want to just share perhaps other things, security, etc. Or they can decide whether we want to be independent, like Grenada, like St. Vincent, like but those countries. That is our right. That is our right. And had we still been directly under the British colony and not a ward of Trinidad, then we would have had that decision to make. Today, all our riches in the sea, the oil, the gas, is taken away from us. And I say not by Trinidad, but by PNM. And I want to be clear tonight. There's a difference between Trinidadians and PNM. Trinidadians are not PNM. PNM is a cult. And the PNM wants to legitimize the slavery of Tobago people and put it into the constitution. So they are trying to throw a dollar bill at us, saying, look, while you're now getting 4.3%, I'm going to give us 6.8. But 6.8 is less than what we were supposed to get. It is the PNM who never gave us the 6.9%. It is the PNM who never gave us the 6.9%, which they were supposed to give us. And now they're coming to say to us, they're going to give us 6.8. Forget the 6.9, take that. It's the best we can offer. I say to the PNM, rock so. We do not want slavery to be entrenched in the Constitution. What Tobago wants is the right to decide its relationship with Trinidad. So, for example, we can see today or tomorrow, let's have an integrated or federal system with Trinidad, where the island of Tobago is defined and the island of Trinidad is defined. And we have the federation between the two countries defined. So you have New York, you have New Jersey, you have Philadelphia, all these are states. All right, you have Illinois, all these are states. They have their own governance structure. Am I correct on that?
Correct. Correct is right.
Good. And they call their shots to themselves. When a law is made in New York, President Bush will sign off on that. It's the governor that signs off on that. They have autonomy. When a law is made in Illinois, it is the Illinois people that sign off on that. And they have discussed among themselves what they're going to be integrated on and the things that are going to be separate. So Trump cannot tell New York when to open its borders. It's the governor to do that. And so what we have in Trinidad, where the PNM holds itself to be the supreme leader of this country. They are like the Shah. They are like some kind of emperor. The whole party sees themselves as that. And so therefore, they can dictate to Tobago what Tobago wants. We will have none of that. There will be a battle on their hands that they have not seen. I'm telling you that the PDP is prepared to fight and die for the freedom of Tobago. I repeat, the PDP is prepared to fight and die for Tobago. Not in my lifetime. In my lifetime, freedom must come to Tobago. And what we are saying, give us that first fundamental right, the right to determine our own political status. That must be determined in Tobago and not Trinidad. Don't say what is good for us. Let Tobagonians decide, because we are free people. We have a different ethnic culture from Trinidad. We came from a different place than those in Trinidad. We have a different history to Trinidad. We are not together, but totally separated. The way we speak is different. Our culture is different. The way we socialize is different. And they have to respect that. They have to respect that. Geographically, we are different from Trinidad. We are not the daughter of Trinidad, the sister of Trinidad. We are a different nation completely. And the right to choose is already written in the preamble of the proposed constitution, but it is not enacted in the preceding sections.
Mr. Duke, can Tobago stand on its own without Trinidad?
Certainly, certainly. And I'll give you a reference point, right? Antigua, maybe a little bigger than Tobago, a little bigger than Tobago, I think it is, Antigua and Bermuda. And in 2019, yeah, Barbuda, Antigua and Barbuda. In 2019, they would have reported internationally, and that's international reports now, 1 million tourist arrivals. You know how many tourists came to Tobago in 2019? 20,000 tourists came to Tobago. 20,000 tourists came to Tobago in 2019. While in Antigua and Barbuda, they had 1 million tourists. You know how much money that translated into based on international records that can be searched for and found on the internet? Let me tell you how much. Almost $1 billion US. $1 billion US. And
I'm one of those tourists.
Okay, very good. I'm one of those tourists. So I think I would have gone there in 2019 too myself, maybe twice. So I'm saying to you that when one looks at tourism, $1 billion US in Antigua, that translates into about 10 billion TT dollars, 10 to 1 black market price we're talking about, right? Our yearly budget in Tobago is 2.5 billion TT dollars. Come on, Tobago can do much more than that. Tobago is rich in the carbon minerals, the oil, the gas. We are rich in that, right? It's a known fact internationally. We are rich in that, but Trinidad claim our territorial and contiguous and exclusive economic zone as their own, saying it is one country. Tobago has nothing of its own, it's one, but it's the PNM who is doing that wickedness. It's time that the PNM leave Tobago alone, and the people in Tobago have decided to drive them out through the polls. This is why we are almost in office now. We are almost in office. It's just the PNM who's blocking it now. But they should be out. Tobagonians don't want them.
I have a question or two, Mr. Duke.
Please ask me.
I was one of the tourists in Tobago, not Antigua and Barbuda.
Okay.
Okay. Actually, 3 questions I have. Firstly,
fling them, man. Fling them.
Well, I'm not too, knowledgeable on the whole autonomy thing, but I'm going to ask some logical questions here. Do you think that a fresh mandate will demonstrate remove the chances of the mathematical error occurring again, where you have this 6-6 tie? And if this deadlock continues till the next general election, do you think what do you think the outcome will be? And you also talk about autonomy for Tobago or from Trinidad, and they're part of the Commonwealth. How do you cross that hurdle of the Commonwealth? Because they always have their tentacles in us colonial wise. How do you cross that tentacle? How do you get rid of those tentacles, the colonial Commonwealth tentacles?
All right. If I fail to answer the question, just remind me of them. The first one is, if we go back to the polls, whether we would be 6-6. The answer is no. Tobagonians have seen how the PNM has treated Tobagonians, and they are angry. They are seething with anger and disgust. They hate the PNM. We will win an election even without casting a dime. That is how Tobagonians feel. So if they put 15 seats, 20 seats, 100 seats, they will lose, and they will lose tremendously. It's the first question. So there's no chance of a 6-6 again. So PDP is going to win this time. Secondly, you asked the question whether or not, if they hold the elections over till national election, what's
this
going
deadlock continues, yeah.
It can't happen. It can't happen. Tobagonians will not allow it. It would lead to a type of activity in the streets that will tell a lot about how Tobagonians feel. Tobagonians are not quiet people, They're people who know how to struggle, but they are people who believe in peace. There are people who believe in the good order of society. But if they continue to ram slavery down our throats, as if we are a colony of Trinidad, as if they fought and fired a gun and they would have taken charge of us, they will wake up one day. The PNM that is, not Trinidadians, the PNM that is, they will wake up one day to understand that they have miscalculated the intelligence of Tobago people. We do not like the PNM, and we do not want no part of them. The PDP is here now, and we are enlightening the people, and we are here to stay. The third question you asked me was regarding the CARICOM and the mentality of CARICOM persons and slavery. Well, certainly, CARICOM,
the Commonwealth.
Well, the Commonwealth is persons who have been enslaved by the British colony, one way or the other. And that's a whole group of people, a lot of countries, span beyond the Caribbean. It even spans the first world countries also too. And people are who they are. But Tobagonians, they have emancipated themselves from mental slavery. We are not slaves. We are free thinkers, and hence people have chosen deliberately to let go the red and choose the black. They have chosen to let go the PNM and hold on to the PDP. And Tobagonians are willing to fight and die for their belief at this point in time. We are more educated now than we were ever before in history, because the books that we want to read, they are on our computers. We could just pick it up and read it in the night. Anytime we can read it. It's then also audio tape. It's also videotape. So there's knowledge right around us, and we are satisfying ourselves or thirst for knowledge by digging deeper. They can't fool us anymore with their pseudo knowledge.
Do you have? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Anna.
Do you have political aspirations wider, bigger than Tobago, or like in Trinidad?
Not necessarily, but I've been asked to set up shop in Trinidad, which I'm not opposed to. But my primary concern is a fight for people. I believe slavery has ended, and nobody should be enslaved. I believe, for example, our government, the PNM rather, is an evil, is a curse to this country. And I mean that when I say that, they are a curse, a literal curse. And I see the PNM specifically because they have held power for the longest time. They have had control over the greatest assets of the nation. They have had all the booms, and they have literally done nothing for the country. For example, we speak of local government in Trinidad, and there are about 15 local government areas. And all of these places are dependencies on central government. They are all dependencies on central government. I would make a recommendation, should I be them in Trinidad, to make those local government corporations or those local government corporations autonomous bodies. So where we have the mayor, we have this, we have that, they must be allowed to. Connection has been restored. Yeah. So we will actually make those autonomous structures. Those corporations should be able to make law for their own geographical area, yes, and they should be given monies so as to develop the area commensurate with the people who live in the area. Let the big government look after policies, but the PNM believe in slavery. They enslave people all the time, over and over, because that is their modus operandi. Enslavement, enslavement, enslavement to the fullest. They love that. All right.
So Mr. Duke, that's a good point. I want to get back to that point. All right, because I live in New Jersey, and where I live, we have a governing body. We have a mayor, and we have people who are part of the township, and they basically run the township. They take care of the roads. They take care of the school. We pay property taxes. The property taxes go in, and they allocated different areas, right, within the system. So, and the governor, right, can't come, and mess with these people then, because they are running, they're running their community or their township, so to speak. With that in mind, I know that now the PNM or the government is suggesting 15 seats. And I think this is going to be debated this coming Monday. Is that correct?
Not the 15 seats. What they want to debate on Monday coming is the bill that they are bringing to the Parliament, which is the Constitutional Amendment 2021 bill and the Tobago Island Government bill. They want to dictate to us how our island government should be formed and run, but they're out of place. They can't do that.
Now, are you in agreement with the movement from 12 seats to 15 seats? Is the PDP in agreement with that?
Well, no. We believe that the government should have involved the entire 12 assemblymen and not speak to its 6 side and then decide that what it wants. That's what the PNM did. They sat and they spoke to their side of 6 PNM assemblymen, and they said that's the consensus, and they're going with that. No one spoke to the 6 PDP assemblymen or the other half of Tobago that does not support the PNM. That to me is wrong. And so therefore, on that basis, we do not support the 15 seats or the 3 additional seats to the 12.
From a PDP perspective, what does autonomy look like for Tobago?
Well, autonomy speaks to 4 things, right? In the broadest sense. 1, Tobago must be given the right to freely determine its political status without any external influence, without the Parliament intervening, without anybody outside of Tobago intervening. Tobago must for itself determine its political status, which can be 1 out of 3 status. 1, Tobago must decide whether it wants full independence. That's the people of Tobago, they must decide that. 2, whether they want to be an association with Trinidad or they want to join the Eastern Caribbean states. They must decide that. Or 3, whether they want to be integrated with Trinidad or integrated with anybody else, right? And what is the basis of that integration? Whether it's federation as the United States or federation like St. Kitts and Nevis, they must decide that. The time has come for Tobago to be more than just a ward, but to be equal with the island of Trinidad. And so if we are going to define our maritime boundaries, then Trinidad must define theirs. What is the maritime boundaries of Trinidad? What are the maritime boundaries of Tobago? We must determine that. And what would be the joint maritime boundaries between the two countries? So that's what it looks like for Tobago. Then we must also have the freedom to plan and develop our economy, our social structure, yeah, and our cultural structure. We must be able to say what is our first language. Whether like Jamaicans, our first language is our own patois, which is our own broken English, and English is our second language. We must be able to determine everything that goes on in Tobago. We don't want to control Trinidad. We want to control what goes on in Tobago. And if that happens, Tobagonians are happy because there's more than sufficient intelligent persons in Tobago to contribute to the development. Earlier, you made a statement where you said that there are 60,000 persons in Tobago, and you're right. That's the approximate number. But I dare say to you that there are over 375,000 Tobagonians living and working in Trinidad. I repeat, there are over 375,000 Tobagonians living and working in Trinidad. When I say Tobagonians, I mean persons with Tobago origins, strong Tobago roots. That's what I'm speaking about.
So, Mr. Duke, I want you to listen to 𝗪𝗪𝗀𝗃 and give us your feedback. Here's 𝗪𝗪𝗀𝗃.
Tobagonians do not want secession. That's the message from Member of Parliament for Tobago West and member of the Joint Select Committee on Self-Government for Tobago, 𝗪𝗪𝗀𝗃. She says the committee's investigation did not reveal any desire by Tobagonians to break the unitary nature of the state of TNT. Ms. Kudjo says from as far back as 1977, when Tobago East Member of Parliament A.N.R. Robinson began the debate, key in many discussions is what Tobago really wants.
Yes, we want internal self-government, but we want to also maintain the unitary state. And I think that some people are shifting their positions as it relates to what is the definition of internal self-government, because we have some people in Tobago and in Trinidad also who are foisting on Tobagonians that internal self-government means secession. When we consulted Tobagonians, we did not speak to secession. The people of Tobago said that they did not want secession.
Minister Kudjo says that there was talk of federalism or government in which powers are divided between two levels of government of equal status. This, however, she says, would require a marshalling of economic, social, and other forces in Tobago.
And we have to build our capacity as we move closer and closer to that. So, for instance, we have to build our infrastructure. We have to build, as we speak to monetizing the resources in the sea, as we speak about. Yeah, to building our technical capacity and our human resources and so on, so we can really get to the point of that level of self-government.
What do you say, Mr. Duke?
I say that she's a little schoolgirl who is big boy dance. She doesn't know what she's saying. She's totally ignorant of what she's saying. She's just repeating what she hears the teacher Rowley says. So she's repeating that, but she's totally ignorant and bereft of what takes place in Tobago. All right? But I'll say this. There was a time when Tobagonians craved internal self-government. That time is long gone. I want to put this on the table squarely. Tobagonians no longer desire internal self-government. Internal self-government is different from self-determination. And I want to explain it too. Internal self-government means that you are burying yourself to become a ward of Trinidad, just like a local cooperative or this what we call these local government. Tobago doesn't want to become a local government of Trinidad, and this is why successive PNM administration saying that the local government should get what Tobago get, because they want to bring us in line as another chapter of another local government. So instead of running 15 seats, they will run 16 seats for local government. That's their idea. And so she's speaking from a teacher. We don't want internal self-government. What Tobagonians want, and I want to be absolutely clear, is the ability to have self-determination, self-determination in international law is clear. It is the right, the unadulterated right, or what they will call, it's a cardinal right for the people of Tobago to determine within Tobago, without any external influence, their political status. And so if we want to be integrated with Trinidad today, then so be it. If we want to be associated with them tomorrow, so be it. And if the other day we want to be independent, so be it. That is Tobagonian to decide. Internal self-government doesn't give you that. It doesn't give you that right to determine that. What it says to you is that you are a part of this. You are a part of this. And anything you must get must come through that. So with internal self-government, you cannot borrow money outside on your own. You must borrow from the government. Internal self-government, you cannot sit down and engage any foreigners, any foreign states, make any foreign negotiations. You can't do that. Okay? What we want is our right, because we have never been given that right, our right to have self-determination, full self-determination. Let Tobago decide what Tobago wants. And at this point in time, I can see what Tobago wants. They want to continue being integrated with Trinidad, but they do not want Trinidad to continue insulting us. Because if Trinidad continues to insult us, and when I say Trinidad, I mean the PNM, I don't mean Trinidad people. Trinidad people nice, right? I might one of them. Trinidad people nice, but the PNM stink and they're dirty. They're not nice people, all right? They're not nice. They are slaveholders, and they love to keep people in subjection, in subjugation, and we are not taking that in Tobago. So the PNM wants us to rush to internal self-government as if to say that is what we want. We want integration, but not internal self-government. I repeat, we want integration with Trinidad, but not internal self-government. We want the ability to have full self-determination. I hope you understand that. If your talk is too high, I could break it down a little more for you. On being relevant and not being some kind of a academic, you know what I mean?
No, you're going good, man. You're going good. But let me ask this question, right?
Yeah.
Let me ask this question, right? You want integration. Does that mean to say you still want Tobago to have 2 seats in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago?
No. It means that we have nothing to do with Trinidad. When we say integration, integration means that there'll be a federal system, right? And the federal system is such that Tobago is defined in law and Trinidad is defined in law. And the country of Trinidad and Tobago is defined. They must have they must have 3 constitutions, one for Trinidad, one for Tobago, and one for Trinidad and Tobago. So the constitution speak to those 3 things. The constitution rather must speak to those 3 things: the island of Trinidad, the island of Tobago, and the sovereign republic of Trinidad and Tobago. That is what our constitution needs to speak to. Right now, the constitution only speaks of Tobago as if it was some side trick of Trinidad, where they say there shall be an island of Tobago. But the island of Trinidad is not defined. And so we need to say what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Though define we and leave ourselves undefined, the PNM must define Trinidad and they must define Tobago. And it must be done on equal scales.
But Mr. Duke, you made a reference to the US, right? In the US, like I'm from New Jersey, we have a senator that's representing us in Washington, right? And you were saying that you guys don't really want, whereas that Tobago has 2 representatives, you know, in the parliament in Trinidad and Tobago. When you say about integration, you are talking about basically.
But when we say integration, right? Let's understand this again.
But you understand my point, though.
Yeah, I understand the point clearly. And I said no for discussion purposes. I want the discussion to kind of like blow a little bit more. In Tobago, if we decide to call our head of government prime minister, there's nothing wrong with that. In Trinidad, if they choose to call their head of government prime minister, there's nothing wrong with that. But there must be a head of Trinidad and Tobago, okay? And that head of Trinidad and Tobago must be defined in the constitution, and the parameters of the power should be defined, as well as the powers of the Prime Minister in Trinidad, the Prime Minister in Tobago. You know, in other words, we can define it. We are sovereign state. We don't have to go to England to ask us what to do, to tell us what to do. We can say what we want in Trinidad and in Tobago, but they must be defined equally. So for someone to leave Tobago and go to Trinidad, it doesn't happen. If there is a federal government, then we must decide how those seats are divided, because Trinidad cannot have more seats than Tobago, because we are going to be outvoted. All right, good. On any issue. So that's what I'm saying to you. We can't have just 2 seats. But if there's a government of Trinidad, we don't want no place in the government of Trinidad. If there's a government of Tobago, Trinidad have no place in us. There's a separation of powers. But in the federal system, in the government of Trinidad and Tobago, then we have to sit and decide how those seats are going to go, because those seats are votes, and those votes could translate into the changing of the law on issues that are of equal interest to both of us.
But Mr. Duke, that integration you are talking about, does it still come with that 6.9% or 6.8% allocation of the budget? Does it still come with that 6.8 or 9% allocation of the budget?
I do not know where they get that percentage from, but clearly, if Trinidad is to give to Tobago any money, that money is well owed to Tobago, because they have suppressed our instruments within the economy. They have dictated to us for years what we should do in the economy in Tobago, and we have never had a chance to freely, I repeat, Tobago never had a chance to freely, unencumbered, develop its economy, to develop its culture, to develop its social structures. We have never had it. So Trinidad has literally left Tobago unmanned, underdeveloped over all of these years, and they have to pay for it. They have to pay for it. We want reparations. What do we want? Reparations. Good? We want reparations. You have to pay for it. You must pay for it. Must pay for it.
But how could you want reparations and you get 4% of the budget every year?
That is a small amount, you know. That is not even the tip of the iceberg. What they gave that to those who were there before. They gave that to the PNM, the PNM stooge. The PNM stooge have run Tobago for all those years while the money was given out. But now the PDP is here. We say we don't want to stripping us. We will tell them how much we need for reparations. As a matter of fact, we will give them the entire sum. This is how I think it was Germany decided to give to some country in Africa a couple billions of dollars, but they're going to give it over a period of time. We want to start negotiating with them how much money they owe us. Yeah. And when I say they, I mean the PNM government, the wicked, evil PNM government who have enslaved Tobagonians and made us.
But Mr. Duke, NAR was in charge for 5 years. The UNC was in charge for additional 10 years. What about them too? What about them?
5 years is not enough to run a government. Sometimes people start to get to know you and you start to look around inside you're out of them.
But A.N.R. Robinson was a Tobagonian, and he was the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes, but that wasn't enough. That wasn't enough. All any government could do in 5 years is to build 1 or 2 little buildings and to perhaps do 1 or 2 improvements. And you have to now look at balancing the economy. He had a hard time. The economy was low. It was rough on him. I mean, he did what he could have. But I'm saying to you, now is a new time. We don't have to be tied to no history. We are a new breed of people. I am on the scene now. Farley Chavez is on the scene. Dr. Faith B. Israel on the scene. The other youths who have grown up with brains in their head and they know what they want. Our seniors are sick and tired of being mistreated by the PNM. We are saying to them, we are going to quantify how much money they owe us. The PNM, how much money they rob and they stole and they deprive us from making by making our economy one that cannot work. We will say to them, how much money you owe us? And we will say to them when we want to be paid back by, and let them pay us at peace. After that, be good. After be good. Remember when Haiti rose up and they took their own independence, the French said, what? We lost property. Our slaves, our property, no, they had to pay back. And they had to pay back trillions of dollars back to their masters. When slavery was finished, the white man got something, for the abolition of slavery. The Queen gave the white man something for the abolition of slavery. The black man who was brought here as slaves, not indentured laborers, but as brought as slaves in my foreparents. And I could tell you, my great-grandfather came from Africa directly. I know his name. I know the village where he come from. They came here. When they came here by force, they got nothing. When slavery was abolished, they got nothing. Today, we got nothing. I'm saying to you, my friend, Trinidad has to pay, because Trinidad are the ones who further sink us into this depressive colonial state called Trinidad and Tobago.
Mr. Duke, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear. Loud and clear.
You know, I'm listening to you. This is Tommy, and I'm saying that comparing Haiti to Trinidad and Tobago seems, and Haiti with France to Trinidad and Tobago, it seems like comparing apples to oranges, for the mere reason that first, it was a different era, and secondly, they didn't have an arrangement in the same manner that Trinidad and Tobago does at this particular time. I'm thinking in these times when there's greater need for cooperation and unity, to further separate and focus on separation, it does more harm than good. That's just my thought. Maybe I'm thinking wrong, but you tell me what you think of what I'm saying.
We are thinking wrong. No one speaking about separation. We are speaking about identification. Tobago must be identified that this is Tobago. Trinidad needs to be identified. This is Trinidad. And the integration that we seek with Trinidad must be properly defined. That's all I'm saying. There is no separation here to say we don't want no part. No. We're saying first define Tobago, define Trinidad, and then define what is Trinidad and Tobago. But to do those definitions, it needs to have man-to-man talk. Trinidad PM cannot dictate to Tobago what we could see and what we can't see. PM doesn't own the country. They feel they own the whole country. They don't. What they own is a stupid little political party. That's what they own, not this country. They could own a man. They want to tell Tobagonians what to think. Imagine Tobagonians sent down and Tobagonians said to Trinidad, look, we want to have a bicameral system. This man they call Raoul, he will come and say to us and say to the nation, when Trinidad look at it, when the PM look at it, they felt that a bicameral system was not good enough. Now, a bicameral system, for those who don't know, is a two-chamber parliamentary system where you have a lower house and an upper house. Something that Tobagonians had since 1769. Tobagonians enjoyed a bicameral system in the Tobago House of Assembly. So all that system is, he's going to say to us, that's not suited for Tobago. Give us a unicameral system, a single chamber house. Can you imagine the kind of nonsense? I mean, these guys are really out of touch with reality. You know? I am saying we don't even want him back in Tobago. We don't even want Rowley to come back to Tobago because the man is a disgrace to Tobagonians. He has so much power in his hands to do something for Tobago, and he's doing nothing but insult us.
But Sir Duke, at the end of the day, though, don't the PNM, as it's currently structured in Parliament, gonna come up with a decision, and the PDP really doesn't have any sort of voting power because it's going to be done in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago, and the two representatives from Tobago are basically PNM. So at the end of the day, whatever they put forward, you know, is basically going to pass.
No, it can't pass. It requires 3/4 majority.
Right, correct.
They don't have the seats for that. So they will talk and blow hard, and then they will come around and say that the PDP and the opposition, they are one, and they don't want nothing good for Tobago. That's their storyline for years now. But they will be shocked to realize that call the election and they'll be voted out of office for the first time in 20-something years. The PNM will lose Tobago. I want them to call the elections now. Let the people of Tobago talk. Let's end this night of slavery and ushering a day of freedom where Tobagonians get to make decisions for Tobago within Tobago. We shouldn't have to go to Trinidad to make a decision. And imagine that. We are deciding Tobago affairs, but they are taking that down in Trinidad and decide that with a whole bunch of PNM Trinidadians. What is good for Tobago? You ever see nonsense yet? You ever see nonsense yet?
So, Mr. Duke, are you confident? Are you confident that if an election is called tomorrow, the PDP will have the most seats in Tobago?
I'm overly confident, and I'm using that word. I'm overly confident. I'm not just confident. This is not normal confidence that I have. I'm overconfident in that. I know the people of Tobago are sick and tired of Rowley and his gang.
By the way, how your $10,000 a year, $10,000 a month salary donation going?
It's going very good with
Did anybody in the PNM in Tobago donate their salary?
No, they haven't done that. They are just taking from the coffers of the people, from the state money.
Maybe you don't know, Mr. Duke. Maybe you don't know if anyone has. Is there a possibility?
They have not. They are not that type of people, right? They're not that type of people at all. I've given out the PDP in Ahura, only myself, have given out hundreds of hampers from their own salary, hampers to the people of Tobago. Every week we give out bread, sometimes twice a week. We give out bread to people, hundreds of breads. I get hundreds of breads every single week. So we are doing what we can do based on the salary we have. What the PNM in Tobago is doing, they are using state funds to line the pockets of their friends and cushion their stomachs. That's what they're doing.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to extend the invitation to Mr. Duke for his people in Tobago to have a voice with us on this program, and to for them to reiterate our invitation. We want the people voice to be heard, the people of Tobago, what they want. So I would like to extend this invitation so their voice is not stifled as the PNM has been able to muzzle them. So and Brother Duke, I am with you in restraining this PNM variant from Tobago.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you so much.
But hey, what's Duke? You know as a PNM supporter, though, right? You know that, right?
Well, I know it used to be. I think it used to be a PNM supporter, right?
Wait. You know I used to be a PNM supporter. Who tell you that?
It used to be. You told me that. But I know after this conversation.
When I tell you that?
Yeah, you
when I tell you that?
Don't talk and forget. That dangerous man who talks and forgets, talk and remember.
No, my mother not tell me a lie, has no memory. You understand? So I always tell the truth. I don't remember ever saying that.
Yeah, Anselm, you said that you used to be a PNM supporter.
But not anymore.
Yeah.
After this conversation, I declare to you, in the name of Tobago, you are no longer PNM. You are no longer after this conversation. Because if you declare your PNM, then Tobagonians will no longer usher you in as a son of the soil.
Straight up. No,
my father from Roxburgh. Every time I come to Tobago, they usher me in, man. But don't tell me what party I support.
They are listening to you, If after the show you declare that, they will not honor you.
Well, Mr. Duke, let me declare something. And I declared that when we had Dr. James here. I have said, I am no longer a supporter of Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley and this PNM part, this set of PNM people here. Right, that's what I've said. And I have said that. And I hosted Dr. Rowley twice at my house here in the United States of America when he was in opposition.
Of course, only when he was there.
Good, when he was there. As Coco said in his song, when Christmas time comes, you call them just to wish them a Merry Christmas, and they ain't picking up the phone, right? Because the election come and gone, and they win the election now. So I could say that, Coco was trying to send me a message, but I wasn't listening. But anyway, Mr. Duke, someone asked, what are your views on the NIS and people working till 65?
Well, we do not believe in that. We do not believe in people working so old. We believe in the Dubai principle. A man should be retired by the time he's 40-something, higher for 50. That means 50 should be retired. And let him go and develop the private sector, get into his own business. That's what life is about. Why retire a man when he's pushing a walker and urinating on himself? Is that the kind of thing you want to do?
Hey, Mr. Duke, watch it.
Oh, I am 62, I mean pushing a walker, boss.
Me too.
You're still young. Fool yourself.
I'm 61 and I ain't pushing no walker. Watch it.
Fool yourself. You're still young. There's a lot of slip between cup and lip. Let me drink some water. A lot of slip between cup and live. 65 is a big difference.
Wait. What color that water is, Mr. Duke? That mommy?
Brother Duke.
This is water. Good.
I hope Ansem was listening to you. It's not just Dr. Rowley administration. The whole PNM is a cult.
I am saying that fully.
I hope he listened to what you said. That the
Well,
entire PNM has been a cult.
I'm glad he confessed that he's no longer a supporter
of
Rowley. And I hear in his voice, and I hear in the echo, in the aftertone, he's no longer PNM.
Oh, well, I didn't say that one. But anyway, another person says, Antonio Clemens says, it will most likely reach a point where to gain your goal of Tobago autonomy, you will need to do it with your leadership as PM. What do you say about that, Mr. Duke?
Well, I have no problem with that. You know, a good leader becomes everything to his people so he can give them everything. All right? And if I have to become that to give my people the freedom they need, fine. But if we can get it without me becoming that, then I'm good. I'm good. I just want to serve my people. I've been in a life of service since I was young. And I want to continue being in the life of service to all of my people. And that gives me the greatest joy to serve my people.
Another person says, these Trinidad politicians not stupid, eh? No, they know if Tobago get independence, Trinidad will lose out big time money-wise. Is that true?
True.
Yeah.
Is that true? You agree with that? You agree with that, Mr. Duke?
Just repeat one more time again, please, thanks.
These Trinidad politicians not stupid, eh? I just repeating that the person because you know we Trinidad and how we does right. You know what I mean? Even though in this country 40-something yet, I still talk like that. I still at Trinidad, you know, Trinbago. These Trinidad politicians not stupid, eh? No, they know if Tobago get independence, Trinidad will lose out big time money-wise.
Well, that's true. That's true. I mean, Tobago has resources that Trinidad doesn't have, and the same thing for Trinidad. Trinidad has resources that Tobago doesn't have, and so they will lose one way or the other. And I'm saying we are all for unity, but the unity must be done in accordance with the wishes of Tobago and not the wishes of the PNM. PNM can't decide for Tobagonians. It doesn't matter if it's Rowley or whoever, they cannot decide for Tobagonians. Tobago must decide within Tobago. Within Tobago.
Exactly. And I want you to keep reiterating that. Keep reiterating that. Keep singing that song.
Decide for Tobago. To carry to Trinidad and let Parliament decide for us. We don't want that. Keep that down there.
Mr. Duke, good point. The PNM keep their supporters in slavery so they could win elections, no economic opportunities.
Yes. Yes,
okay.
Indeed.
A Tobagonian says, no, this is Mark Dallett. I'm still angry with the way in which Ansel Dennis was put in that position. He's definitely not the person for that position, in my opinion. Do you agree with that?
Well, indeed, when I look at him, I see a school kid who is trying to be a king. And he's definitely out of whack with how a country is run. He feels it's about being suave, it's about being cool, it's about being chill, while the whole place is on fire. And that's the way of the PNM. They always feel that look smart, look well put together, and just be chill. While everywhere around, people belly hurting them for hunger, people fighting for job opportunities, people can't get medical treatment in Tobago without a flight to Trinidad, and you cool. That can't happen. A leader carries the cares of his people on his chest. He's burdened by the cares of his people. He can't sleep at night knowing that people are hungry. And I'm saying we need a leader who is in touch with the people of Tobago. Yeah? We need a leader.
So, Mr. Duke, just give us a minute or so. We're going to go for a quick station identification. We are so happy that you were able to join us and give us a lot of your time. So we're going to go for a quick station identification, and we'll be right back after this. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, it's in the village with the DAG Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. We come to you every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And also, Mr. Duke, even though we are streaming on YouTube, we are also streaming here live on 95.9 FM here in New Jersey, where we have a lot of listeners as well who are actually listening. So, you know, it's not just, don't worry. Don't worry about whatever you see on YouTube and things, but we have thousands and thousands of people. We're going to go for a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Cool. I'm here.
95.9 FM, Maplewood, New Jersey, broadcasting from Essex County.
You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio, WZYE 95.9 FM.
And of course, we are back with you. It's In the Village with the DAG Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. We have with us tonight, Mr. Watson Duke, the leader of the PDP from Tobago. He has joined us, and we really appreciate him giving us the time here. And we having a really fantabulous, fantastic, marvelous, wonderful conversation, man. It's a great conversation. So, Mr. Duke, let's quickly go to some other questions here in the in the chat. We always have a lot of questions in the chat. Let me see right here. Hold on.
I have a question for Mr. Duke pertaining to the journalist and her remark and her dismissal or removal, should I say?
Yeah.
You have any thoughts? You have any thoughts on that?
No, I think it's a statement. You made a statement. You actually did a post, a Facebook post,
right?
With respect to the journalist who made some statements on a private Facebook page, and she used, an obscene language, and she was reprimanded, so to speak, by her employer. And you had came out and said, you totally disagree with that. It was freedom of speech because it was on our own private platform.
Yeah. And the employer is wrong. The employer is wrong. I mean, the employer is dead wrong. There's no way the employer can win that case. And I speak as an expert in labor law. I have my master's from the University of Leicester in employment law. There's no way the employer can win that case. They are totally wrong, and sooner or later they will find that out. But what is more important for me is in the opinion of the public, in the court of public opinion, that they also see the employer as being wrong. In Trinidad and Tobago, they make a big deal about obscene language. In the United States of America, it's no big deal. You agree with me?
Nah. Yeah, correct is right.
No big deals.
No big deal at all.
And we are a third world country. So it says that human beings are changing. And more importantly, it's the context in which the word was used. The word was used very skillfully and very thoughtfully. It was not used to provoke anger or to incite ill feelings or any kind of negativity. It was just used to bolster her position that she's one serious person about country and she's going to protect her country. And that's what it was used for. All right, it was used as an adjective to strengthen her resolve. And so when we look at the context of the use of it, I mean, clearly it wasn't used as an obscene language there. So they're totally out of context. And sooner or later they'll find out. They will have to pay her. I could tell you that they will have to pay her lots of money. Lots of money.
Another question, Mr. Duke. What is your views how the PM told the people in a statement Tobago is the place to be for Easter, knowing that the virus is rising, and how is the vaccination process going on in Tobago?
Well, the PM is the PM, that's Rowley. He's a master.
Why do you call him Dr. Keith Rowley?
Well, I could call him Dr. Keith Rowley, but I just find the name too long. That long talking name. I don't like it. I wouldn't like to talk about him too much.
But yeah, if you get a doctorate, would you like somebody to call you Dr. Winston Solomon Duke?
No. I've been to universities where we have all them lecturers are professors, doctors. You don't call them professor, you don't call them doctor, You call them by their first name. Straight up. And that's in most world countries. We only try to make a big
thing. No, but that's call you professor.
Well, no, not necessarily. No,
I'm a professor. I'm telling you from experience. Most of my students call me professor.
Well, all right. Well, and that's the way you teach, right? Because in some, they call by first name. When you deal with big men and big hardback women, we're talking about full-time students, big hardback men and women.
Oh, all right. Okay. Yeah. So,
if it's freshmen, it's all right. Freshmen, young people, they call it professor. But hard back man, watch out, professor. No. People don't do them things again. That's long time superiority complex.
They call it prof.
Prof. Yeah. So back to the question regarding Tobago was the place to be, and what is the vaccination process in Tobago?
He's a master tactician. I think he's a master tactician. I think
he's a genius. He's a genius. This
whole thing was planned out, and immediately after he said that he came to Tobago for the weekend, and he was mixing and mingling with persons in Tobago. That's right. And all of a sudden, as the Easter finished, he reported that he has COVID. Imagine that, eh? He reported he had COVID. He never went to a hospital. He never removed himself from the media. But look at it. Yeah? When will leaders like Boris Johnson, right, Prime Minister of England, when he got COVID, he stayed away from the media and he went into that state of treatment, full treatment. When Donald Trump got COVID, he again removed himself from the media and went into serious treatment. When Rowley got it, he set up a media station and said, look, I'll come interview me. And the people, I mean, this whole thing is just weird, man. It's just suspicious. His behavior is rather curious, I would say. Very curious. And I think that Rowley needs to take a serious recollection and recognize this is not the 1960s. This is 2021, and the millennials are very bright people. Trust me, they're very bright people. They'll figure it out just like this. They'll figure it out like that and laugh at you.
Very bright.
He can't fool them.
I can tell you, I got a 21-year-old daughter who just graduated from college.
Right, lovely.
Very bright.
Very brilliant. I mean, I have children too, and they shock me every time with their intelligence.
What about vaccination in Tobago?
Well, I can't say much about the vaccination in Tobago. I think the last figure I saw today was about 1,900 thereabout persons vaccinated. You know what I mean? But I'm saying, right, that if we are doing vaccination, we must be able to be serious with the people. You can't tell the people come for vaccination and then they run out of vaccine. Yeah, I mean, you can't tell people that. Well, come for vaccination and run out of vaccine, and then you're bringing down only vaccination and get from people vaccines that are about to expire. You know how bad that does look? That all come for this fast, they're about to get expired. Nations are giving us things that they don't want, and we're taking it here. Things that are about to expire and telling people, come quick because you're about to get expired. I think that's so bad. I mean,
Mr. Duke, have you been vaccinated? Have you been vaccinated?
I've not been vaccinated, and I'm taking my time with that because I read today, I was doing some research today on vaccines in America, the travel restrictions in America, COVID. And they have a clear document, a document that simply says, in New York in particular, that all these vaccines are trial vaccines, and they're not FDA approved.
Correct.
That's that. They're not none of those vaccines, none, not one single, not one of them are FDA approved. When you go to Canada, they are saying if you have Sinopharm, you can't come inside it. That's that. You accept Sinopharm and Sinovac vaccines. Imagine the Chinese using that, Chinese using that, that coming down here, Sinovac and Sinopharm. Canada saying we're not accepted. Forget that. Consider yourself as being unvaccinated, right? And America is saying none of these vaccines, not Johnson & Johnson, not Pfizer, not the AstraZeneca, none of them, none of those are FDA approved. It says to me, keep yourself quiet, Watson. Don't rush down them things. Because if the FDA is responsible for approving vaccines, why are they not approving them? What they know that we don't know? Come on, I have to think.
And what they know that they're not telling you.
And they're not telling us. So I have to think. I'm not rushing down, but I'm not against those who take the vaccine. Trust me. I'm not bad talking anybody who wants the vaccine.
Correct is right. Another person says the PNM will never agree to give Tobago independence because they'll never win elections again. Do you agree with that?
Well, I'm hoping that happens for sure because they are an evil group of people. I've never seen a bunch of people who are empowered to govern a country move so evil yet. They are directly evil. I mean, they are not.
Hey, but you know, I don't call it Watson. Watson.
Yeah. Everything is
when we wasn't on YouTube, I said to you, the PNM party is a wicked and evil party with respect to exile and stranded citizens, and with respect to how they are treating poor people in Trinidad and Tobago.
And yet you love them.
No, but you disagree with me. You say you wouldn't. No, but listen, you said you wouldn't use those words back then.
Well, if I said that, I was only trying to align myself with your feelings, the deep love for the PNM. I don't want to offend your feelings. Your deep love for the PNM. That would be very guarded. Good for me.
But it's not only exile and stranded citizens that will make it too.
Yeah, that's why your middle name is Solomon, you know.
You have to be careful. Anytime you see a man talking his partner, you have to be very careful, you know. When a man talking, be careful. Be rocking, you know. Try not to see the
So, here we have another question here. All these years, why Tobago don't have factories? Why everything have to come from Trinidad to Tobago?
The answer is simple. The PNM does not want Tobago to be developed. Again, I repeat, in the 1960s, when this whole thing about self-government and self-determination came up, and those colonized countries were being given self-determination by their colonizers, the mandate was internationally that those who administer over those colonies should be able to bring up their internal organs to a point where each country could run itself. So when they came and they say we want our independence, it was a time to look at the, okay, you can handle yourself, go ahead. It never happened for Tobago. Tobago was a ward of Trinidad when Trinidad sought independence. And Trinidad was supposed to develop Tobago. It has never developed Tobago, not to this day. Tobago is the only Caribbean country that doesn't have a cruise ship complex. You can imagine that? The only Caribbean country that doesn't have a cruise ship complex is Tobago. Tobago is the only Caribbean country that does not have a marina. Trinidad has about several. Every country has several. Tobago has none. This is how undeveloped Tobago is. It's a shame.
It sounds like Tobago is a stepchild of 𝗪𝗵𝘁𝗀𝗽.
But nothing not stepchild. Oh God! I don't want to say what it is, but Tobago is not being favored by the PNM. PNM want us to be exploited to the hilt, so they can take advantage and rule over us. Hence, they compose a song for Tobago. You know, have you ever heard it? The PNM composed a song. Hear what the song.
We love you, so we take great care of you. Only the PNM
love you so. Don't change. Stay so. And we will take care of you. You depend on us. You depend on us. Yeah. We understand you.
What's not the lyrics, man? The lyrics is we love you, so we take great care of you. Only the PNM understands. That's the lyrics. Yeah,
they want you so. They want you to stay so.
Mr. Duke, here's another question from a person from Tobago. Mr. Duke, what is the current situation with regularizing of salaries of public servants? That's a question person from Tobago.
Well, regularizing salaries of public servants is always a political matter because generally public servants, exactly what the name says, are servants. Their time belongs to the government, and though they should be paid market rates, which is rates that are prevailing in the country for similar jobs, etc., they are not paid market rates. They are paid based on what the government wants to afford. I use the word what the government wants to afford. It's not what the government could afford, but what they want to afford. And so therefore, it's not a big thing in their mind. This is the worst in the history of the country. It has never, ever happened yet, where we have salaries outstanding for 2014 to 2021. That's a large span of time. And it says of the failure of the government to adjust workers' salary so as to meet the extended on a monthly basis. Workers are working with the salary cut right now. But the government, again, love them so. Stay so. Don't change. Stay just so. We understand you. Stay so.
Let me say a good night to Pamela George as well. Pamela George has joined us. Pamela, where are you joining us from? Albert Montano asks, my daughter was born in Scarborough General Hospital. Will she get a citizenship for Tobago?
That's a question?
Yeah, that's a question.
Well, of course. And we are not seeking independence at this point in time. I repeat, Tobago, we are not, the PDP is not seeking independence on behalf of Tobagonians at this point in time. And I guard my words and say at this point in time, because that's something that should always be on the deck for any country. When we feel that the time has come, we would separate, because the relationship after 100 and something years has not favored Tobagonians. We are still without a marina. The fishermen who have to get gas must come inland, buy gas, and then take it back out to their boat swimming, risking their lives. If gas doesn't come from Trinidad, we don't get it in Tobago here, even though Tobago is producing its own gas now. Even though the large gas find, larger than any gas find in Trinidad. The buses that we drive on in Tobago, they come from Trinidad. Unless the man in Trinidad goes to get some old bus to them, we get no bus. All the vehicles that we drive in Tobago, they come from Trinidad. There's not one single area in Tobago that sells directly vehicles from foreign. They're always selling on behalf of Trinidad and Tobago. Nothing here.
And that's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in your airport being directly operational, where people can fly directly instead of going to Trinidad. I'm interested in seeing that you have a port where stuff can come directly to Tobago instead of have to go to Trinidad then to come.
Definitely. And
this is something that
we
I very
decide
much
to
want
do
to
those
see.
things as PDP. As PDP, we want to have a cargo port in Tobago where cargo could come directly to Tobago. Yes, cargo should come directly to Tobago, so we don't have to go to Trinidad to buy lumber to bring in Tobago, buying cargo to Tobago. Nonsense. And we want to have a cruise ship complex where when the tourists come, they must be given that same feeling as are given in Barbados and St. Martin and all of these countries. We also want to have direct flight leaving from Tobago to go up the islands. Imagine if a man wants to go to Grenada, he must first go down to Trinidad and then fly over Tobago to go to Grenada. Imagine that? This is big for the paying them love so. We love you so, we love you so. That's the kind of man it doesn't happen in no other Caribbean country. No other Caribbean country. Grenada, when you go to St. Vincent, you only go up. You go up to St. Vincent.
Yeah, you go to
Grenada, to go down to Trinidad and then go up to.
Well, I have a recommendation to Dr. Rowley. In that money he was going to spend to build the Tobago, the Toco port, that he should build the Tobago port. That is what I recommend, that they build the Tobago port instead of the Toco port right now. You know, that should be more priority.
Well, our Prime Minister is not a very intelligent man. He has books, but he's not very intelligent, because he would have looked after Tobago. Imagine he's saying he's building a port into Toco because it's good for Tobagonians. Who want to come and go to Toco? Who want to go to Toco?
You go to Toco close to Tobago, that's why. To Toco, you could see Toco from Tobago.
Toco to Port of Spain is almost 3 hours. And with a highway, it's going to take you maybe 2 hours maximum, minimum, I mean. So let's get it. After you travel 1 hour from Tobago to Toco, and a very rough sea, it's very rough seas, rough seas. I've traveled there with pirogues, rough seas to Toco. 1 hour. You then take 2 hours to go to by car to go to Trinidad. Oh gosh, man, you're gonna get sick.
But
there is no reduction in time there. They're just evil. The PM is just evil.
Why don't they build a road from Tobago to Toco, or Tobago to some parts of Trinidad? Like they have the Chinese, right? Because we get loan from China, right? Why don't they have the Chinese come and build a bridge that goes from Tobago, that connects Trinidad with Tobago, and you can take an hour and you drive over and you go over to Trinidad?
Amen.
And they can do that, but hear hear what the Prime Minister says, Rowley says. He says, you see that sea between Trinidad and Tobago? He said the deepest sea out. Deepest sea. He said, where they getting piled from to drive down there? You're the kind of nonsense the man talking. I told that man.
You sure he said that? Or you making that up?
He said it's way too much to forget that idea one time. This man is a geologist, you know.
Oh my God.
When they're building these gas structures out, the plants out there, right? But these things moving, these gas things out there is moving.
Yeah.
And when they anchor these platforms out there, it stays there for a long time. So you can't tell me that you can't build a floating bridge. Throughout the world now, that building a floating bridge, one of the longest floating highways is being built in Norway right now to connect a number of small countries and small islands out there.
Yeah.
And people are doing it all the time. Don't tell me that, hey, now, see, way deeper, we're getting piled from to drive that. If we want to unite the countries, then we will make a serious concerted effort to join both countries permanently together. And we could do that, you know. We could do it in a flux of 1.5 million people coming to Tobago every weekend with their own cars, coming to Tobago to shop, going down the shop. I mean, nobody.
You can have a toll.
It's beautiful to have, but the mind of PNM is so backward. You ever see them guys build any building at all? They have no building of class in Trinidad. All the buildings.
Man build the waterfront, as well as Hyatt. He also build the performing arts centers. You know, he built quite a few things. Huh?
Most of those buildings have no fast. I can tell you that. We have members working in those buildings. A lot of those buildings have no fast certificate. None. They have not reached the level to have a fire certificate by the fire department. And if they do, it's one that is not proper. I could tell you that because I am also a trade unionist, one of the foremost trade unionists in the country. And when we write to them, ask them for the approved plans for those buildings and the fire certificate and electrical certificate, etc., they can't give it. They can't give it.
Yeah,
right?
but they've still been built. They have been built. All right, and they are being used, and they are being utilized.
And if people get damaged inside it, people can sue. People can sue. A lot of those buildings are also placed for fungus, black fungus, which is a fungus that causes serious cancer.
I know at one time there was a problem with the sheetrock as well, because it was a problem in Florida with the type of sheetrock, and the sheetrock was getting kind of moldy, and that sheetrock came from China. I know, because at that point in time I was working at the New York Stock Exchange, and that was a big thing, but I was under the other party. But that's for another day. Anyway, Mr. Duke, another person says, Ulrich says, Mr. Duke, do you have intentions of doing anything for public servants, retirees, pension, like adding COLA to it?
Certainly. What we are saying is that the PSA, we are saying one, we want to have all retirees benefit from an index pension. An index pension means that your pension will always be 100% of its purchasing power. So your pension will not be eroded by inflation, because there will be a buffer. As inflation goes up, your pension will have that kind of index on it. Or as we settle new agreements, which are supposed to be market rates, you will get a percentage of that, whichever is more affordable. So we want to have personal pension. We want to ask for that. But again, with this wicked and evil government, they don't want that. But we are going to argue for that. That's on the table. Secondly, we want to ensure that all retirees continue to enjoy a health plan as they once enjoyed when they were in the public service. Right now, we have a health plan in the public service, one that I negotiated for, where they get $3 million critical cover. $3 million critical cover. And we want to ensure that our retirees continue with that health plan even in their old age. Yeah?
Yeah. Somebody says, if PNM builds a bridge to Tobago, how Caribbean Airlines going to make their money?
Well, that's it. The Caribbean Airlines could go from Tobago to Grenada. You don't need to come to Tobago.
Yeah.
Well, from Tobago to Trinidad, then to Grenada. That's madness.
Well, the government bankrupting Caribbean Airlines anyway. So, I mean, we don't know how long Caribbean Airlines is going to continue.
They're going to increase the airfares for Tobago very soon. Eh? You see with these people that sent home there, these 450 pilots they want to send home, That's not sustainable, and they're going to increase the fare to Tobago from $300 to about $700 and say, well, we have a boat now, you could pay the boat. And they're going to increase the boat fare too, because all of these are subsidized. The boat fare and the airfare is subsidized. Yeah? This is why Tobago should have its own boat that is controlled by the Tobago House of Assembly. Tobago ought to have its own transport authority, Tobago Transport Authority. That is a motion I moved in the Tobago House of Assembly, and they ridicule it, they laugh at it. But we ought to have our own transportation authority, one that is responsible for airfare between Trinidad and Tobago and Trinidad, and seafare between Tobago and Trinidad. We must have our own plane in Tobago, and we must have our own boat in Tobago. So at any one point in time, we could decide that we want to subsidize that in Tobago. We could decide we want to subsidize that. Yeah?
Mr. Duke, do you agree with naming of the boat APT James? Did you agree with that?
No, that disrespect. APT James was one who represented Tobago as a country that should have greater interdependence from Trinidad. But put it differently, he's a man who strongly positioned arguments for Tobago's self-government and self-determination. He was a man that was rooting for Tobago to stand up for itself and be less dependent on Trinidad. And now you have bought a boat that is a Trinidad boat, it's a PNM Trinidad boat, and you are saying that the boat is a APT James boat. No. Why isn't that boat given to the port in Tobago and say, all right, this boat belongs to Tobago and one in Trinidad? No, the boats belong to the Port Authority of Trinidad. And they sleep in Trinidad. So if the Port Authority says, do not sail to Tobago today, nobody in Tobago can make that boat sail. If the Airport Authority in Trinidad say, hey, do not fly to Tobago today, then that's it. If the Airport Authority, if Caribbean Airlines in Trinidad, says do not fly to Tobago, nobody in Tobago could make the Caribbean Airlines plane come to Tobago. And this is why we need to have our own boat, our own plane in Tobago that we could allow for commerce. Should those in Trinidad have a problem with their boat or plane, we could decide we are going to still travel once the runway is good, once the port is good.
You know, somebody asking, Mr. Duke, and just a few more minutes, will the Chinese have any interest in the affairs of WZYE, or are they already involved? I'm just curious, sir.
Well, the Chinese have interest in anything. I mean, and rightfully so. They have a right to have interest in anything, because the Chinese wants to be a world power, and rightfully so. One can't stop that. But the thing is, how much we as a country want to develop businessmen within our own country, and we want to strengthen our own country from within. I mean, China will come and they will give you a loan, but at the end of the day, no meals are free. You'll have to pay one way or the other. When you look at Dominica, you look at all other areas in the Caribbean where the Chinese are, when they come in and they become involved, they simply set up shop also. So throughout the entire world, Chinese are all over this world, and there's nothing wrong with that, except that we in Tobago ought to strengthen Tobagonians and ensure that they are in a position to go to China too. We had a particular philosophy under my run, right, in 2020. We were saying, just as the Chinese could come here and do projects, we want to sign an agreement that our local contractors could go to China and do projects too. And if our local contractors in Tobago can't go to China and do projects and learn, then why are the Chinese coming here to do projects in the first place? Let there be an exchange program. Right must be right. And if something is good, then we want to learn from you too. Don't just come down here and give us work to mix mortar and to tote water and this kind of thing and to paint. We want to learn how it is to configure buildings on the ground and just build them up, blah, 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 blah. We want to know how to put up buildings in 1 week, 2 weeks. We want to learn that. So we'll take a trained group of contractors from Tobago and send them up to China to learn the work. That's what it is. Teach a man to fish and give him a fish for a lifetime. I don't know about you came out to say every day and you fish and give me fish. I don't know that.
Let me say welcome to Ian Pollard. I'm sure you know that fella.
My very good friend, man.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, he says Rowley and the PNM never cared about Tobago. The PDP will transform Tobago and Tobagonians. I know you agree with that, so I'd rather say anything about that. Now, Ulrich says, huh?
That's a foregone conclusion.
Ulrich say, with regard to the question about the retirees' pension, like adding COLA to it, he asks, when are you going to negotiate that?
Well, we have already placed those things on the table for discussion, but it takes two persons to negotiate, and in this case, it takes the government to come to the table with something. So we have spoken about that. We have spoken about the health plan. Those things are already on the table, documented in our notes between the personnel department, which is the government HR department, and the PSA, which represents the public servants of the country. But there have been no discussions further because they are using COVID to literally see that they are watching to see how things go, and they can't discuss that now. But certainly, we have even signed off with National Insurance Board. That's the company that's responsible for social care in this country, right? National insurance, etc. And 9% for 2014, 15, and 16. And the government states frankly that they're not paying it. They can't pay, they're not paying it. So one asks themselves, why are we negotiating, and why is it that these things have been settled and the government is turning around and saying that they're not paying it? Not the government, but they're paying them. These wicked, dirty people saying they're not paying it. You see, they don't believe in democracy, you know. What they believe in is autocracy. Just like the forefather said, when I speak, no dumb dog bark. Real bull face. That's what they are. Bull face with a spite.
Yep.
And you say you want to be part of these people?
Just two last questions, Mr. Duke, before you go. Rose asks, so can you really swim from Tobago to Trinidad?
Well, I did.
You swim to Trinidad waters, right? That's what it was, right?
No. We swam from Tobago and we swam to Trinidad.
In Trinidad waters. Into Trinidad waters.
Into Trinidad waters, right? Not only that, into what we swam into Togo. And we swam out Tobago.
So
and while we were there, sharks were bouncing us, you know. We met sharks.
You met sharks? My father name is Sharky, you know. You didn't see him.
I know him very well. Very good man. Married on at these places, man.
Yeah. And lastly, Lana asks, I wonder if they find back the PM peacock that was missing in Tobago.
Wow. You know, rumor has it rather, that when he had lost some sheep and goats, etc., and National Helicopter was looking for that, you know. When this peacock went missing thereafter the peacock went missing. You know that was on news, big news. The Prime Minister lost his peacock. You can imagine that. But man, you know how much fowl we lost as young people growing up. Men knocking on your fowl and cook it. That never makes news. But the Prime Minister lost his peacock, and that making big news in the papers. Yes, it is like jokey country sometimes.
Oh God. And lastly, Takesha asked Mr. Duke, what's your thoughts on managing of the borders out at sea? What's your thought of managing the borders? So I guess the management of the borders by the government.
I think that it's a very serious issue, because if your borders are not managed, then it means that anything could enter your country. And I say anything. We're talking about biological disease could enter the country through your borders. Guns could enter your country through your borders. We could have even errant people, terrorists could enter your country through your borders. And so your borders are very, very important. So one of the things that a country must guard religiously, and spend whatever money is necessary to guard your borders. However, in this country, it doesn't seem to be a very important issue. The Coast Guard are highly understaffed. They are not given gas to patrol the sea properly. Recently, when we had a boat with some corpses entering our shores, it was the fishermen who detected the boat. And when the fishermen radio in to that, it is reported that they say they instructed the fishermen to tie the boat and bring it in. Do you see the kind of madness we're dealing with here? So clearly, we are not serious about protecting borders. But I'll tell you this, if not if, when the PDP get into office, or when we hold position in the central government that will allow us to have policy-making positions, we would be able to fix that issue, because border control is a serious matter and no laughing thing.
And finally, we have Ulrich says, I strongly support your party coming to Trinidad. And Ian Pollard said, that is true, 3 national security helicopters.
Well, he's from the area, and he's from the area, so he could tell you.
Yeah, well, 3 of them are searching for the peacock, you know. So.
Ansel, I need to write a poem on that one, boy.
Yeah, but yeah, everybody looking for the peacock, boy. So, Mr. Duke,
thank you.
Finally, before you go, what we fight here for, we started this program a few months ago, you know, with 𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗀𝗃's leadership, and we were fighting for exile and stranded citizens. And we see today that the borders are going to be open on July 17. But here is my question, right? We have a Delta strain now in the air. And we have been told that this strain is the worst strain ever, right? It's more dangerous than the P1. It's more dangerous than the strain from India, South Africa. You know,
more highly transmissible.
Right. I am happy that Trinidad and Tobago is going to open its borders. However, to me, they were lying to the people and tell them they were following the science. How come all of a sudden we opening the border and we're not following the science anymore? What did I miss?
That's a good question. I think that's a question for the Prime Minister to answer, right? Because I will not trouble myself with answering those questions. I will not attempt to answer those questions. I think that it's quite curious how they are making moves on opening up the construction sector for the government, but the construction sector for the man who wants to cover his roof for the rainy season will be opened up later. Yeah? The man whose roof is leaking, we are in the rainy season right now, his roof is leaking, or his wall, you need to put a wall to protect his house. And they're saying to him, nah, when we're ready, we go open that. Let's see the government buildings and then we want to start that now. That to me is also something I can't understand. Something the Prime Minister has to explain. But then again, he doesn't have to talk to anybody. Ask him a question you don't like, he simply curses you.
Also, Mr. Duke, I raised the question to, I didn't mean to hold you back. I know the children, they're stressed about the SEA exams, but to send them out there unvaccinated, as he has said in the past, that an unvaccinated citizen is a threat, to put them in these closed environments to go write an exam and then to let them go back home to their families, I don't think, with the Delta variant, which is a more highly transmissible variant, I don't think that's a safe thing to do.
I agree with you, it's not a safe thing to do. But again, the PNM, they're evil. What can you expect from an evil man? They are not thinking about the health of the nation. First of all, these kids depend on adults for protection and guidance. And if you are putting them in a place where there is danger, then what you are saying is you do not care. I have a grandson, and my grandson has been swabbed several times. Now, he's not living here for COVID. He never had COVID, nor does he have it at this point in time. But he has been swabbed. So he says that even little children are swabbed for COVID. I know little children in Tobago who have been swabbed and who have had COVID, little children. So COVID can affect children. They can catch it. They may be asymptomatic to it, but they can catch COVID. And so sending our children out there unvaccinated, sending our children out there to do C exam is something that I want the Prime Minister to rethink and stop being so cruel and hard-hearted to the people that you have sworn to serve and protect in this country called Trinidad and Tobago.
So, Mr. Duke, if you have a one-on-one with the Prime Minister, what will be the message that you will give to the Prime Minister?
I'll ask him to resign.
You answered your answer.
Yeah.
Why?
There's a discussion to have with him, but it is today resignation.
Why?
I support that. I strongly support that, brother Duke.
Why would you ask him to
I
resign?
strongly support that
The
decision.
man is a total failure. He has not succeeded in one thing. He has totally failed the country. Let me tell you how much he has failed the country. They paid the Chinese to build an overpass on the highway, spent almost $500 million on it. You know that when they build this highway, those big truck that carries these containers and that kind of stuff can't pass underneath it. Yeah? That's the kind of thing we're talking about. They built the Red House, over $500 million on it. You know when they built the Red House was leaking? You know that when they built the Red House, a gate fell down and pin a man nearly kill him? They're just total failures. Total failures. The ride on the APT James and the Boko, the ride is worse than on the JDVL, which is a boat that they got, a second-hand boat from, I think, France, right? And that ride on the JDVL is far better than the ride on the APT James and the Boko. Those boats are literally old boats that they paint up and said, take a boat day for new boats. So we are saying the man is a failure. Nothing he does is good or attractive. He just do it for doing its sake. Even the Tobago bill. The Tobago bill went down, saying we want X, Y, Z. He's going to change up the whole bill, send it up and say that's good for you. This man is a failure. And it's an insult to Tobagoans like myself. I think he has no place in governance. He should simply remain in opposition. He's a good opposition.
Well, Mr. Duke, let me say, unless Tommy or Diana or Gary have anything else, I mean, we want to thank you. You spent a long time with us. We appreciate your candid. We know you're always candid. We know you're always candid and straightforward. And listen, don't be a stranger to the program, because we have many very. And let me say this, Mr. Duke.
Yeah.
Dr. Faith, that lady is our boss, eh? That lady is I ain't gonna lie to you. She, you know, man, it was one thing I had to tell you, boy. You just pick good people, you know.
Thank you, sir. I'm humbled by your accolade.
You seem to have a knack for picking good people. Eh? Why is that? Before we go, why is that? How is that?
Well, I think I have my eyes set in the right direction. You know, when I met Dr. Faith, she wasn't a politician. She told me out flat. She has no interest in politics. She's a technocrat, and if I want assistance with research on anything, writing anything, she will be up for that. She supports the party, but not as a politician. You know, I mean, you know, you can't just approach person once. You have to keep talking with them, and eventually, after a few conversations, she was my second candidate that I announced in 2016 to run for the 2017 THA election. You know, so I mean, Farley was the same thing too. He wasn't interested in politics, but when I start talking with them, and eventually, you know, they saw something that I saw, which is Tobago needs us, and if not us, then who's the question? All right, and the question still remains: if not us, the PDP, to lead Tobago, then who? We are literally bearing ourselves of everything. We are willing to pay the cost to ensure that the average Tobagoan have a say in how their country is governed and what is good for them. Trinidad mustn't dictate that. Back to Trinidad again. PNM. Always saying Trinidad. Trinidad have good people in Trinidad. PNM mustn't dictate to Tobago what's good for them. So that's the basis for me choosing these people, on the fact that they were ready to serve Tobago and they were willing to pay the cost whatsoever it was to be paid.
And lastly, we will let the Tobagoan ask the last question. Mark Daniel says, talk about the cultural complex here in Tobago.
Well, that's a big, it's the biggest concrete tank in the entire world. Water will do good with that concrete tank like that. The tank that doesn't hold water, it's simply how bad gargoyle and zombies. It's been $1 billion to build it. And the amount of functions they have kept in that building thus far is less than 20. It is now around for about some 8 years or so, and it is totally underused. I've kept less than 20 functions in that. It is still not connected to Tiantec. What they use to run that big water tank is a generator. You hear me? I repeat, that generator is not connected to Tiantec. Like I said, the government is failing. The PNM government is failing this country. It was built under the PNM, under Oval London. Yeah? Wow. I tell you.
Yeah, somebody said this. You know, I just say everything anyways. Somebody say, Ansem, you'll soon leave PNM and join Watson Duke.
Yes, I think you have left already. Can I affirm that tonight? Can I confirm that tonight? I'm putting a question to you. Can I confirm you've left the PNM?
Mr. Duke, I'm the one asking the question.
He's shifting the goalposts.
What do you want to confirm?
Whether you have left the PNM and joined the PDP. It's okay. You are away from the PNM. They can't victimize you. You don't have to be afraid.
Well, listen to this, sir. As you say that, right? I talk about the 4 Ds, right? And when you are part of the PNM, you have to be able to understand these 4 Ds. And I also talk about there's a go along, get along gang in the PNM, right? And there are certain people, doesn't matter what the PNM do, they go along so they could get along. I'm not part of that group, right? And so, Mr. Duke, before you go, someone says, Mr. Duke, thank you for being on the show tonight.
Yeah.
Your views are appreciated and very educational. Another person says, thank you, Mr. Duke, for answering a couple of my questions. Nice listening to you tonight. Hope this will be the last time with us and learned so much from you tonight. And Takisha said, at least the PNM can't blame Kamala for his failure in Tobago. Yes, and somebody said, Ansem, you'll soon leave PNM and join Watson Duke. So, you know, that's for another discussion, Mr. Duke. but seriously, Mr. Duke, we seriously want to thank you from the bottom of our heart in order that you can join us and stay much longer than you schedule. You know, we appreciate us. We appreciate you, and many people in the chat appreciate your candidness and straightforwardness. But I like the one with that concrete thing, eh? You just come up with some good jokes sometime, you know. That's why I like to listen to your live, man. You just come up with some real good ones sometime, man. You know, for Tobago, you're good, you know.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, for island of 60,000 people, you have done very well. And Mr. Duke, let me say this, eh? For the PDP to go from 2 to 6, from people can say what they want. For your organization, which you can say was a rookie organization, if we are being honest. For your organization to go from 2 to 6, the PNM had to understand the tides have changed in Tobago.
Yep.
And I don't think they could ever get back those sales in Tobago.
Never.
You know, I want to say I think the tides have left, and I don't see it turning around anytime soon. But you know, we still have Monday to come, and before you go, if you look into your crystal ball, what will come out from Monday?
Well, that will be the setting of a stage for the next THA elections, because it's going to fail, and they will come out and they are going to blame the PDP for not getting the opposition to support the bill, and they will try to make Tobagonians feel that the 6.8% they are offering, which is less than the 6.9% they were supposed to get, is good, and therefore the PDP should be removed from office because we are trying to block an improved Tobago and Trinidad relationship. That's how you operate all the time. They operate on lies, they operate on half-truths and innuendos, but we are prepared for them. We have something inside the mortar, beside the pestle. I can guarantee you, when we drop that, it will rock them.
And Mr. Duke, Mark Daniel says, thank you for fixing my roof, Mr. Duke.
Our pleasure, man. We will do it again for anybody once the funds are available.
Well, I gotta tell you, we thank you so very kindly. If you have any closing words before you go.
Well, I want to say thanks to the triplets. I don't want to say DAG.
The DAG triplets, DAG. We can call them DAG. DHE,
but I want to
DAG.
thank the triplets. It would have been fun tonight. I did enjoy my conversation with you, as if we were having that face-to-face interface. Thank God for technology and the fact that we could all talk internationally about issues that are happening locally. To me, it signals the progress of man. And I know that in Tobago, we can also make a lot of progress if we keep looking outwards to what's happening beyond our shores. So I want to challenge the people of Tobago to look beyond your nose and to see what's happening in bigger countries, so we can say to ourselves, we can do it, we can develop, and we can become good as any and better than many. I salute all of you tonight, Professor, Miss Bearskin, and Timothy. I got Timothy correct?
Tommy. And Gary.
And Gary. I want to thank all of you. You have been a great host tonight. I mean, you all made the show come up alive.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
All right, thank you so much, man.
To get outside. Thank you. I salute all of you on Facebook, on YouTube, wherever you are in Boston. Watson Duke love all you.
Thank you so much, man. It's a pleasure. Man. All right, bye-bye. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you, Brother Duke.
So, folks, there we have it. Let me get all up, man. Hold up, Tommy drop off. Hold on, let me add Tommy back. So, folks, I gotta tell you, right? The thing is getting better and better. The thing is getting better and better. You know, and
mute yourself, Tom.
Yeah, I was just.
Yeah, all right. The thing is getting better and better. Tommy, yeah, you and we want to say this, sir. Without the people in the chat, you guys make this program what it is. That's why we involve you guys so much in the program, in that we want you guys to put questions here. Because, you know, sometimes you have a program and you have a host, and, you know, the host want to ask all the questions. We don't really want to ask all the questions, right? Because sometimes you guys are there on the ground. Like, for example, Mark Daniel, you are there on the ground in Trinidad and Tobago. Ian Pollard, you are there on the ground in Trinidad and Tobago. And then there was another young lady with the last name of George.
That's the lady with the guest house. My friend.
Oh, that's the lady with the guest house.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, welcome. Oh, Erica was also joining us. Pamela George. That's Pamela George, right?
Yeah. That's like the young man, Aman George, a runner, his mother.
Oh, we need to actually get her into as well, you know. You know, I mean, and you guys absolutely, Prasad, Lana, Antonio, you know, you guys actually make the program. That's why we are interested in questions from you guys. And listen, and the thing about it, we say this, when people come in the village, we don't want to ask them no softball questions. We want to ask the questions that people have been burning to ask. But those other radio stations, you know, when these people go on the radio station, they don't want to ask no questions, right? So we are a little different here. And WZYE 95.9 FM in the village with the DAG Triplets and WZYE. You know. Mark Daniel says, really nice show tonight. Takesha says, thanks to the team for trying to educate the people of this country and helping stranded nationals. And Steve Chunu-Lopez said, Ansem, that's why you should join Mr. Duke. Only joining me with all kind of thing. Only join me with UNC. Only join me with PDP. Nobody joining me with PNM and only join. You know, they only joining me with all these other parties. Just don't go be MSJ.
They're just joining you from PNM.
Oh yeah, they're just joining me from PNM. That is absolutely correct. They're actually just joining me, you know. So again, folks, you know, it's such a pleasure. Who's gonna close the program tonight, boy? Ulrich say, Miss Diana, you were missed.
Thank you, Ulrich. I was just a little tired, my eyes, you know.
Yeah, my Diana said, Diana, you threw me away.
No, Mark, he sent me a message. Oh, I can't throw away my son. Nah, never.
He threw me away. Oh, yeah.
Never, my.
Who we didn't get to. I wonder if Ian Pollard is still there, boy. Ian, are you still there? Ian Pollard. We could get either Ian. Have Rose closed the program as yet? I think she did, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ulrich also closed the program. Mark closed the program too one time. Want to Cindy J, boy?
I don't know.
Maybe looking for us on Facebook. You know, folks in Facebook jail. So, in that we could do. I think Steve Trini Lopez.
Yeah, let him close.
He didn't close it before. Hey, Prasad Ramnath. If Prasad is there, can you close the program? Put in some comments if you are still there. Right? And let me see. Ooh, I just got a next comment. Let me see who this is. Yeah. Hey, Steve Trini Lopez. Put your closing comments in the Rose want to know where are they getting all these interesting people from. Yeah, we want to educate the forces. Steve Trini Lopez, Rose, put your closing comments for the program in the comments. Put your closing comments. You're gonna close the program, Rose. Steve Trini Lopez says, Diana, I'm still waiting for my cup.
Oh Lord. Okay.
Diana, you promising all these people these things and you're not living up to their expectations. You know, come on, man.
Yeah, look, see?
You gotta get him on the cup. The man say he waiting for the cup.
Lord.
You know, he looking for cup.
Hey, Anselm, don't start nothing with them Trinina.
The man looking for cup. Oh God. Oh, yes.
I ain't able with all, you know. Jesus. Gary, help me now.
Gary, where you boy?
Yeah. Gary, fuck up.
Yeah.
Gary, go on, fuck up.
Gary, you looking for cup
I
too?
hope you get some education where you stop calling yourself a PNM.
Yeah, but you know, Gary, somebody, a PNM person sent me something today. The fed up of they say I'm getting annoyed now.
Oh Lord.
They say I'm getting annoyed now because I sending too much thing on because we send the message to the Prime Minister from Winsford James. We send a message from Diana too, right? We send we of course, Ulrich, don't forget Mr. Volney. So we send all kind of thing now. So, and I tell them, I said, listen, I send them this speech by T.D. Jakes about confidence, constituents, and comrades. So, you know, because I do consider that person to be a confidant, right? And because we were aligned with the same thing. Now that I'm not for, now they are not for what I'm for. So they're upset with me. But that's okay. You know. Oh, JD Tasha Stasea? JD Stasea? Is that Stasea? That's a new name. JD, where you from? Ian Pollard says, great program, very educational, just a tip of the iceberg. Very good.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very great program. Love to hear Mr. Duke again. Love you all. God's blessing to you all and our lawyers. All right. So, folks, let's go. Tommy.
Are you approaching the top of the hour?
Oh, yeah. Hold on.
Anyway,
let me do this.
I got a split, so we say good night and you guys can wrap up.
Okay.
Greg. You got to run?
Yeah, he got to run.
All right. Let me do this. Let me do this real quick. Hold on. Let me just do this. I'll do this right now. So we can just do this. Let me do this.
You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. The most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey. The most influential name in Caribbean radio. WZYE 95.9 FM.
And of course, we are back with you. It's in the village with the DAG Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. So, Tommy, closing words?
I opened a fortune cookie and it said to me, think about how you can help solve the problem, not about who is to blame. And I'm saying that at this point, that's where I am. Also, Epicurus says, he who is not satisfied with a little is satisfied with nothing. A very good night, and I rather enjoyed spending the time with you, all three of you, and all the listeners, and also Mr. Duke. I look forward to next Tuesday, and I thank you, and have a great weekend, each and every one.
Yeah, Tommy got to mute the mic. Okay, good. Folks, of course, from where I sit, this is it. The clock on the wall, so that's all I like to say, but I've got to go. Remember, hard work beats talent when talent does not work hard. And for every 60 seconds of anger, you lose 1 minute of happiness. And my comment is very simple. Hold on here. Pedro, see what somebody sent my voice message at this time, boy. What? Right? And I'm going to go with something by Desmond Tutu. Desmond Tutu quoted and says, if you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. If an elephant has its foot on the tail of a mouse and you say that you are neutral, the mouse will not appreciate your neutrality. That's a quote from Desmond Tutu. And go ahead, Diana. And we're gonna close with Rose and Steve Trini Lopez. Go ahead, Diana.
Okay.
1 minute. Hold on a minute. 1 minute. Hold on a minute, Diana. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I want to start by quoting Steve Biko. He said, the most potent weapon of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. Where there is oppression, there will be resistance. Confucius said, an oppressor's government is more to be feared than a tiger. I hope that the suffering imposed upon the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago forces them to develop their psychic muscles. The poor people of Trinidad and Tobago on a daily basis are afraid. Let's be real. Fellow citizens are dying from COVID, and we know there are not enough vaccines. Persons are being told to return in 3 weeks. When it pertains to food, citizens, women with babes in arms, elderly, are being turned away from a government hamper drive and are being told to come back next week. Next week, they may be dead from starvation by then. Fear of going hungry, fear of getting sick, fear of being penniless. These are the real fears facing the poorest citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. They are now stifled and strangled by a scarf placed around their neck by none other than those in charge of Trinidad and Tobago. SCARF is an acronym I use here to describe the suffering in Trinidad and Tobago today. S, status, loss of status as they lose the identity of being gainfully employed and potentially take on a stigma associated with being unemployed. C, certainty, loss of certainty by not being sure how to pay bills. A, autonomy, loss of control over present events, feeling at the whims of the chaotic and microscopic invader that is COVID-19. R, relatedness, loss of status by no longer being a part of the organization that had employed them. F, fairness, feeling like they were treated unfairly as they realize others are still gainfully employed, especially with their previous employers. And these are the citizens you want to give a $1,500 if they get it at all, or food hamper for how many family members. The scarf is strangling them. They are fed up, and a fed up masses will rise up. To the masses I say what Barack Obama said: change will not come if you wait for that other person or some other time. You are the ones you've been waiting for. You are the change that you seek. This is your resident poet, Diana Benskin, bidding you auf Wiedersehen until we meet again. Good night.
And of course, Diana, thank you so very kindly. So let me just quickly say, closing comments from Chief Trini Lopez. Very, very great program. Love to hear Mr. Duke again. Love you all, and God's blessing to you all and our loyalists. And from Rose, my heart feel blessed seeing all of us on this program in the land of the living. Thank you all. Keep up the good work. Have a blessed and safe new week, everyone. Good night and God bless. And tonight we're gonna go out with Explainer. An explainer talking about the government. Oh, let us listen to this one. This one is a great one. This is Explainer talking about the government. Okay, Explainer. Hold up, Explainer. All right, here it is coming. What happened, Explainer? Okay, here we go.
We must work, being complacent. Oh yeah. Let's get serious, stop making true. What we must remember, we the government of Trinidad. We vote them in power, that is true. They got to do what we want them to. Don't allow complacency to make any party dictate for the country. Every country gets a government they deserve. If we elect them to serve, that's why we must be concerned. Every country gets a government they deserve. For more improvement, bigger achievements, work with government, stop being complacent. Judy, 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 Judy.
This is 𝗪𝗵𝗁𝗃.
Let us get serious now about national affairs. Cause it's we the masses facing all the blood, sweat and tears. Let us get serious with Parliament. Check on how our money is spent. Don't just sit without a murmur and create a monster ready to devour. Every country gets a government they deserve. If we elect them to serve, that's why we must be concerned. Every country gets a government they deserve. For more improvement, bigger achievements, work with government, stop being complacent. Toody, toody. We going through crucial times, as we all could see. The entire nation should live with more unity. It's not what the country could do for me. It's what I could do for my country. Don't listen criticizing and not realizing that the country diving. Every country gets a government that is so. It's we elect them to serve. That's why we got to observe. Every country gets a government that is so. For stability, a better economy, work with government, stop being complacent.
This is 𝗪𝗶𝘃𝗵𝗏.